Have you ever heard of the Riverfront Band or Honey and Clove Bistro or Bakery on Main Street in Polk County? Well, if you hadn't, you're getting ready to. I've got Corrington Lancto here, and it's going to be a great discussion. I'm really looking forward to it. Are you just an introduction? You're not originally from Benton, are you?
No, my dad used to work at Uncle Ben's Rice in Houston, Texas, and when that shut down, he got the offer to go kind of anywhere he wanted to in the country, and he's from upstate New York, and in the Appalachians up there. So he wanted us to grow up in the Appalachians like he did. And so he took that Eminem Mars offer. Yeah, out of all the offers he had. After he left for like 2 weeks, came down here and checked it out first and sent us back some pictures from Goforth Creek, all that stuff. And yeah, before I knew it, we were moving.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
I came up here, I guess, in like the first grade.
When you love.
Which would have been about what year?
And
it was definitely before the 2000s. So it was 1998.
My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime,
people don't really realize that upstate New York, there are portions that are
and I will defend you.
Yeah.
In fact, I think doesn't the Appalachian Trail end in New York or begin? Depending on where you're...
I think you're close there. I think you're either right or you're close. It could even be Vermont. I don't know though for sure. But
I had a guy on here that was that walked the Appalachian Trail. Didn't he say that it ended in New York? I believe he did.
Maine or Vermont.
Maine or Vermont.
We'll have Gwen Google it.
Yeah, but it might have gone through. It might have gone through New York. But you just don't think about that, do you? As far as them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's from all over up there, really. But he ended up getting in the oil industry. He became a derrick, and he moved down to Texas for that. He followed his sister, Aunt Maya Shelley, and she was kind of like in the biker scene, and she rode on some guy's back all the way to Houston, Texas, to follow Led Zeppelin. And
was she like a roadie?
No, but she just like a biker chick, I don't know if you know what I mean, but she's just a biker chick, hardcore all the way. She's
Sturgis
like
and everything.
One of my favorite aunts in the world. But no, she got with this guy Richard Campbell down there. He passed away a couple years back. But yeah, my dad followed him, and when he went down there, I think Richard was in charge, and he became a derrick. And then when the oil field dried up, he got that Uncle Ben's rice job, and it was like he wasn't making a lot there, just kind of slinging rice sacks. And he did a good job, though, and that's why they gave him that next opportunity. And I guess Uncle Ben's is part of Master Foods Incorporated. It's like this big corporation. They own Wrigley's Gum, they own Pedigree Dog Food, and they own M&M's, So they, how like a lot of our food is kind of tied up, like by like BlackRock and all these different kind of corporations and stuff. So yeah, he got that job and moved us right here, and then I fell in love with this area. I really did. They all moved back. I think it was 2013, 2014, something like that. But I didn't go with them because I don't really love Houston, Texas, because it's just, if you have a bunch of money, it's a lot of fun. But I never had a bunch of money, so I'm a big kayaker, and I used to be a mountain biker until my mountain bike got stolen off the front porch of my house up there in Coe. And
what part of Benton? Now, if you're from you live in Ocoee?
I was just thinking about it the other day. If I've been there since 2010, because I graduated in 2010 from Cleveland High School, and if I've been there since then it's been 15 years that I've been living over there.
So why'd you go to Cleveland High School?
Well, we lived right down the road from the Holiday Inn there, or whatever it is, the Baymont. Not the Baymont, but all those little hotels. We lived past the roller skating rink right there, down Candy's Lane, turn left onto Inverness, and then get into Interlaken Circle.
Yep.
We were right there in Interlaken Circle, and that's my old stomping grounds. So, and we lived at that house as long as I can remember, and then they sold that one, and they busted to Texas quick as they could. My mom wanted to go down there and start her own little. This is after my dad retired from it in March.
Yeah.
She wanted to start her own cleaning business, so, and she's been very productive with that. But yeah, I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay here.
You know, if you live in Polk County, you're either live in Ocoee, Benton Station. You know, they're sort of divided.
Yeah, I'm in Old Fort right now.
Old Fort, yeah.
But I used to float around. I was what people would call a couch surfer. You know, I just sleep on whoever's couch I could. I got really good at that. You know, you take the cushions off the couch, put them on the ground. You know what I mean? And but no, I've lived all over the place really since 2010. That's kind of what that raft guiding lifestyle will do to you. You just end up like really getting around, because when that winter hits you kind of get this like itch. You get scared almost, because you know the money's about to dry up and the good times are drying up. And a lot of times I go down there and clean houses with my mom, but I did move to Wyoming at one point, to Lander, Wyoming, and I worked over there in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And Thermopolis is where the Wind River Canyon is. It's like a Native American ground. So the guy I worked for was like a Native American fella, and that's how he had permission to raft and fly fish on it. And that was a beautiful place, man. Thermopolis is like this. It's like this old hot springs place where the natives they swore by this place. Like the chief there, he lived to be like 115 years old, because they go there and drink the water from this like nasty boiling.
Probably high in minerals.
Well, they put a hot tub, like, no, it's not a hot tub, but it's like a sauna. They put a sauna around this, and it's got a plaque, kind of tells you about it tells you about the chief and how he used to drink from this thing, and how he lived for so long. But you sit right there, and it's got like this orange gook, like just kind of, it's steaming, but it's got this orange gook that's coming off of the middle of it. So you just sit in this little sauna room like you're at the YMCA, but right there in the center is just like, that's the weird part about Thermopolis. They turned it into a amusement park of sorts. You know, it's a weird spot. You got to look it up sometime.
I wonder if was there a lot of other people that lived that long that lived there?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is really good for you. All that, you know, you've heard.
I guess it's
saunas and you know the
Hot
ice
Springs,
baths
Arkansas, and
yeah, you know all about yeah. So I guess he was drinking on that stuff, but that's a little weird. But I didn't drink on it, but yeah.
If it worked, I'd drink it, wouldn't you?
I might have. I don't even know. I'm not 100% sure if I did or not. I was crazy back then, so I might have. But yeah, we where we worked at, you'd have to pay a lot of money to get to that little hot spring section. But they had a bunch of hot water slides and a heated pool that was naturally heated by the hot spring itself. They advertise they're the world's largest natural hot spring in the country, or not in the country, but in the world. But I think they're not. I think there's like a bigger hot spring somewhere else, but they advertise that way. And they had literally a whole pool that was warm when you got in there. And inside the building, there was like this giant open, window, and it's Wyoming. So when it snowed, that snow would come through that window, but you'd be in the hot pool, and it was amazing, man. It's such a beautiful spot. I can't suggest it enough for anybody to go over there and check it out.
The Wiggly Bridge?
I don't know about the Wiggly Bridge. Where was that?
Right across from the hot spring, across the river.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't remember that part. No, I don't remember that part. That's okay though. Yeah.
So
you been to Thermopolis?
My family's from Wyoming.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I lived in Lander. I love that spot. They had the sinks there or whatever. You know about the sinks? That was interesting. I go there like what's that river called? I think it's the Popoaji or something like that. And I kayaked at the Popoaji by myself and had a little nasty moment where I was all by myself, right? But I was feeling good, but I rolled over and I started hitting rocks upside down. And I got back up. I was good. But that scared me to death. So I got off that day and I started hitchhiking my way back to my mountain bike. It was up that way, you know, and this fella stopped in a flatbed truck, and I just sat in the flatbed truck. He took me back there to the bike, and I don't know if that was the first, you know, if you're the first person to do something, they call it the first descent. But I don't know if I was the first person to do that or anything. But this girl said, you know, I might have been, but I don't know. I don't want to act like I was or anything. But yeah, the Popo G. That was a lot of
somebody
fun.
stole your bike in Old Coy?
Yeah, because I was living at right off 64 Highway at this place we called it the Chicken Shack. Everybody called it the Chicken Shack because you might remember, I don't know, but they used to sell chicken out of this building down there. Like you're going down, you pass the Ocoee Dam Deli and the Whitewater Grill, back when it was the Whitewater Grill, or the Cherokee Corner, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And down there at the bottom of the hill, there was an old bridge when I lived there. Now there's this new fancy bridge. But right to the right there, there's this cream-colored building with a green roof, and that's the Chicken Shack. And
it dead ends. Doesn't that road dead end?
Well, no, because it hits the bridge right there, and then but if you go that way
to the right,
then that's gonna dead end. But those houses back there are really nice. And then across from the Chicken Shack is like the oldest house in Benton. It's like some 1680s house.
Before you get to the gondolier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's right on the river too. So we would actually inner tube down from, you know, the dam, and we'd stop there. We'd climb up that hill, go past that old house. Nobody lived in that old house because the septic's all terrible in there or whatever. And we'd go up there and we'd take some shots and get wild, and then we'd go back down and we'd inner tube down to Nancy Ward, and it was a lot of fun, man. That was back in the day. But we actually we rented that house from Rick Tyler. Do you know Rick Tyler?
Rick Tyler. Where do I know that name?
He has a lot of kids. I don't want to get too into Rick Tyler because, you know, he might see this or something, but he has a lot of kids.
Does he have that does he have that restaurant?
He had the Whitewater Grill.
Whitewater
He
Grill,
was the
that's
Whitewater
right.
Grill, and now they own, I think, Jessica's place. But
Jessica's,
we were renting from them, and sometimes, you know.
He's got like 5 or 6 kids, doesn't he?
No, he's got like 40 kids.
40, golly.
He's got a lot of kids. He was in a newspaper, magazine for how many kids he has.
He had the billboard.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too into it, but yeah. So his kids would come down sometimes, and they'd be like kind of in the window when we were like partying and stuff, and be like, "What was that?" Like you just see like these, you know, white faces kind of like creeping over the.
I know a couple of his kids. They're really nice.
Oh,
kids.
Everybody's awesome. Yeah, they're awesome.
He's doing something right, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think we need more children for sure. Like you know, I've got 2 myself with 1 on the way. So yeah, I'm excited.
They say the population is not decreasing, but the increase is decreasing.
It's very true. I mean, you got to know it's true, right? I mean, it's so hard to have kids. I'm about to have a kid myself, and I'm panicking. I'm absolutely panicking. We got the Honey and Clove Bistro. We got the bakery on Main. And, you know, the hardest worker in both those buildings is my wife. You know, I mean, because we were both doing hardwood flooring, which I noticed you got some beautiful hardwood flooring in this place. Everything in this place is awesome. I love this house. So she was doing hardwood flooring with me, but I came back home one day and she's like, I want to buy the bakery from my mother. She gave me a great deal.
Was it already there?
The bakery on Main?
Yeah.
It's been there since 2017, and I think we bought it in 2022.
It's in the bottom of the Masonic Lodge, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because they always do that. They'll put the real courthouse over here, and then they'll put the real courthouse over here. And apparently that's an American tradition. They have the Freemasonic Lodge is always, not lodge, but the Freemasonic Courthouse is always across the street from the real courthouse. I don't know if that's always true.
As a convenience.
Yeah, because, you know, the country is kind of founded by Freemasons in its own little weird way. But yeah, no, so they'll do their thing, and we rent from them in that little building.
But they're good tenants, aren't they?
Yeah, they've been great. They just put in a new deck. No, it's like a handicap ramp. They put in a new handicap ramp and a brand new door. You know, it's got its issues, but they'll show up if we got issues. Like, you know, we put a lot of like shortening, down the drains in there. So they were over there with a snake, trying their best. And yes, we love them, and they're really great to us. And so Bakery on Main is right there at the red light, right across the street from the courthouse. And I got the numbers on my shirt if you want to see that you can call us for catering. And
I went by there and got some cow patties.
You surprised me the other day, I'm so sorry that I thought it was like a catering. I forgot because I remembered your name, but I was like, why? What am I doing here? Who is this? I was so slammed at work when you showed up at Honey and Clove.
Well, it was around lunchtime. Or maybe
no,
after
you were perfect time. It was like 2:30. Yeah, it was like 2:30. So it's perfect timing. I was just when you're the only chef back there. You're prepping, you're getting ready, and I'm brand new in the kitchen because, like I said, my wife got pregnant, so I'm trying to take her role that she was doing so much in there, and it's hard to find good help too in little old Benton, but we've got some really great folks that work with us, and shout out to Tanya, and shout out to all the other great employees we got in there. But we are looking for a line chef in there for sure. But I was just in there a couple minutes ago doing the brunch before I came here.
So you're open for Sunday brunch?
Yeah.
Do you get much business in Benton for Sunday brunch?
We are surprisingly busy,
There's nowhere else to eat up there, I guess, except for the...
That's what I was talking to an older lady yesterday, and she was telling me that there's no place on Sunday to eat, and but she was also telling me that people don't want a brunch; they want a meal. And we had to turn down like 8 people today because they wanted a real meal. So, we didn't turn them down. It's just we kind of like the way we have it scheduled and planned is like we'll have everything we need all week, and then if it's a really good week, that kind of crushes our inventory. But it was a really good week this week too, which like I'm saying, it's kind of surprising. But like my wife was right. There's people in Benton. There's a community there. Yeah. There's community there, and they show up. They show up to support us. They want really good service though. They really do. They want like great service. They do, and we try to give that to them. But so that's what we have it planned. And I've just now started working in there. So I see how my wife's got it planned out. She's so smart. She used to own the Stadium Barbecue in Delano too, but that was kind of co-owned with the Stadium Barbecue guys. Yeah. And I met them once because I used to work at Santa Fe at the mall. I was a waiter in there, and then we were all in there. I showed up for work one day, and they were like, "Hey, no more work. We're done." And I was like, "What? Like, how am I supposed to pay my bills?" They were like, "Sorry, we didn't want y'all stealing stuff off the walls and stuff." So I was like, so y'all didn't tell us, just on the hunch that we might steal stuff. Y'all didn't tell us that it was shutting down.
Golly.
So I tried to steal that armadillo it had 2 Lone Stars in its hand. I tried to run out the door with it, but my manager, she saw me and she's like, "Hey, Corey, come on." And I was like, I was just kidding. I was just kidding. But
well, that Santa Fe didn't last long, did it?
No, I think I worked there for like 2 months or something, but that was a great job. It was so fun, man. We actually, I was living with a guy at the Chicken Shack, one of my best friends in the world, Michael New, who's now Maddie New. So she transitioned. So I moved out to Texas and transitioned, and I think she's living in Colorado now. But we were living together at Chicken Shack, and we both are trying to get a job at Amazon, right? And that's kind of what Michael, Maddie now showed me about life, is that you just got to kind of tie your shoes and get to work. You know what I mean? Like if you need rent money, if you ain't got no job, you got to make it happen. You got to go just get a job, And so I never really saw that perspective until she showed me, so we got that job at Amazon, and we were going in there to that fulfillment center in the mall, and he at the time looks at me and he's like, "You want to go work there, or you want to go work over here at Santa Fe, with all these beautiful women and and like we got a job that day." Walked in there, got a job like that. It was awesome. So we didn't go to Amazon. I've never worked at Amazon yet.
Knock on wood, right?
Hey, Amazon, don't be mad at me. We might need to get a job there someday. You never know.
Don't burn any bridges.
No. I've gotten a job at Amazon like 6 times and never showed up.
I remember I applied for Bowaters 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, we got a lot of weird spots like that around here that you could, make work.
Thank goodness they never hired me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My one of my best friends in the world, Lance Butler, he worked at Peyton's before he became a river guide, and he said that's the worst job he ever had there. Like, because there's something, I think they just make boxes or something like that, you know. And my father-in-law, he works at a corrugated board place, you know, right down the road. I'm not sure where it is exactly, but it's real close to here. I can't remember what it's called either, but yeah. So I mean, there's always that, you know, if all the dreams fail and you just need to.
Some people
grab a job.
Some people just want to work 8 hours a day and
I kind
go
of
home.
want to. I'm kind of cool with that these days with my kids and stuff. You know, I just want everybody to be happy and taken care of. You know, like I want the boys to stay oblivious and live in their happy little bubble. You know, I love that. You know, like the kids, they're just so happy and they're so oblivious, and I want them to stay that way. You know, and not have to have any sort of like worry or like any.
Boy, that's
strife in their life.
impossible.
I know.
They'll come up with stuff that you hadn't even dreamed of.
Well, I'm hoping I'm hoping it's not like no Christmas presents under the tree, you know, and it's more of like, you know, someone's mean to me at school. I'd rather it be that than serious financial issues. So, no, I get getting a real job and buckling down and doing all the stuff. I mean, you own a construction company?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to do hardwood flooring for Mandroid Flooring. I don't know if you ever need a.
You laid the hardwood?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. And polyurethaned it and sanded it. We
Stained
did that
it?
LVT. Yeah, stained
Yeah,
it too. That was really tough. My wife did all that too. You know, she put men to shame too. Like when we'd hire on somebody, you know, she would put men to shame. I mean,
Now her mother owned the bakery?
Yeah, Lois Ledford. Is her
Lois
name.
Ledford.
Yes. Yeah. Polk County legend.
I wonder, did she just retire from that?
She's in we bought it from her, so we're paying her in increments to pay it off. So she's really helping us out as well. Like
How long did she have it?
2017 to 2022.
So she did okay with it?
Yeah, she was doing all right. Yeah, the community supports her really well, you know, and she's part of the AMVETS and all that stuff. So
What type of business would you say you have mostly? Just walk-ins, or is it more catering, or
the caterings,
birthdays?
the caterings happen quite often. You know, that's a big thing for us. The caterings really help us a lot. So yeah, catering. But no, walk-ins, you know, we got a deli there too. So, and we keep those prices on the deli like super, super low.
I noticed your prices were low.
Yeah, we got super low prices on that deli. So that's why we thought the honey and clove would be a good idea, because then we can kind of charge more for like a fine meal, you know, and then you can have a fine dining experience with us. But if you wanted just a quick sandwich, you go over there to the bakery and just eat a quick sandwich or whatever, you know. So
There's a table in there.
yeah, I
there.
just put that.
Yeah,
I just put that new table
Yeah.
in. Yeah, I went there super early the other day and put that new table in. So, not that it had to be installed or anything, but I brought it in real early and did some cleaning and tidying and took the old table out. And yeah, just, you know, owning the business it's always something. That refrigerator just went out over there, and it was not the refrigerator didn't go, but the evaporator fan went out. So I took the evaporator fan off, and luckily my dad he did air conditioning and refrigeration for Kroger in Texas when they moved there. So he got into that. So I could just call him up and be like, you know, what's going on? He tells me to look inside of it. Is that fan spinning? I say no. And he goes, okay. And then it's the fan possibly. But he wanted me to check and see if it was getting power first. So I snipped the wires and checked it for power, and it was getting power. So we know it's just the motor went out. It's a 20-year-old motor in that fridge. So
It is something that being in business has nothing to do with the business. I mean, everything you're talking about is just keeping up.
yeah, we really got to
Maintaining.
keep up with everything too all the time. It's an annoyance. I'm telling you, man. It's always something new pops up every chance it gets. But that's why we need all the support we can get over there.
Does Polk County have a lot of regulations? I guess you still have the health department, right? But that's not county regulated.
And I think our health inspector comes from Chattanooga
Yeah.
too. I think so. It's
Yeah.
not like some local.
You have fire marshal there?
Yeah. We got everything. Everything's more. I think we're growing a little bit, you know, because Cleveland's getting so big. You probably noticed that. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You get stuck at that red light over there on not Ocoee, but right there interlocking Ocoee right here
Yeah.
where the old Blockbuster used to be.
Golly, that place
road will
is
get
packed.
so bad. It drives me nuts. I don't even like coming through that road anymore. But yeah, no, we're getting some of y'all's runoff for sure over there. They're building and building. And I just now, on the way here, I saw a bunch of real estate signs going up. And I couldn't suggest to everybody enough to move to Polk County. You know, it's just the most beautiful place. You know,
God's country, they call it.
I chose it. I really did. I chose it. You know, my mom and dad, they want nothing but for me to move to Texas. You know, that's what they want bad. But I love kayaking. You know, that's my favorite thing in the world. It really is.
How are you going to have time to do that this summer with running the restaurant?
My wife lets me go kayaking on Father's Day.
Oh.
No, I haven't been able to go kayaking, but that's the beauty of the Ocoee is it's, you know, not all rivers in the world are roadside, but the Ocoee is. Mm-hmm. So you can just park and you can grab your stuff, put it on, and go down the hill right there and start surfing, you know, pretty much instantly.
Do you do the kayak? You don't do the fun yak, right? That's the difference.
That's how I learned,
Yeah.
because I worked at Outland Expeditions at first, you know, and there's some people there you need to get on this show, you know, like John Mascao. I'd love to have him sitting right here with me doing this interview because he's just such
Is
a
Randy
cool
Miller,
cat.
do you know him?
Yeah, isn't he like 00 or something like that? Ocoee Outdoors?
Probably, yeah.
Or is he, I think he
I
might
think
even
he's
be-
still a guide.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But I think he like is a manager though, because I know that name so well. But I think he might be at the Ocoee Inn. I might be crazy, but you know, I know him. I know
Yeah.
Randy Miller. Yeah, I think I've worked for him a couple times.
Yeah. Well, boy, it's tough being in business, isn't it? Golly, people don't understand, do they? How
Yeah.
hard it is.
It's been great at the Hunting Clove lately, man. I mean, we're getting, you know, sometimes we'll have somebody who has to sit at the cash register too long, and they'll either write a bad Google review about having to wait too long on the service. But we got new servers, you know, like, so these are girls that sometimes it's like their first time doing this stuff. They're straight out of high school, you know, and they're going for it, and they're doing a great job. But
Do you think people read those Google reviews much? I don't much pay attention to them.
No, I don't think so. I don't really get on the Google reviews either. But people, if they do Google reviews, then they're probably like a Yelper. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're gonna go in there and they're gonna really give you a piece of their mind because that's what they like to do it. So the people that do like to do it get on there and they do it, and they go after you a little bit. But we've had some really good reviews and stuff. So no big deal on that.
Do people, people that get on there and write bad reviews, they're not in business for themselves, are they? Or they wouldn't do that. Because you
yeah.
understand how, you can have an isolated incident or something.
Yeah, it makes me want to reach out to them and beg them, like, "Hey, come on! Like, this is my family. You know,
Yeah.
like, this is everything to me. You know, like I'm so sorry that you had to wait at that bell. You know, for so like 10
Yeah.
minutes, like you said. And I am sorry. But so yeah, it's just tough.
How'd you meet your wife?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Well, I was in the River Funk band.
Yeah.
And that was like a passion of mine, and I really love that that River Funk band. It was a lot of fun, and that stuff you can find all that music on YouTube. But she started showing up at the shows, and at the time she was working at AU at the Bus Bar and Grill there, and I guess she was managing for them, and she was making some pretty decent money for them, and every once in a while, I'd go to the tip jar and there'd be $100 bill in that tip jar. I'd be like, what in the world?
So you was playing at the Bus Bar?
Yeah, sometimes play the Bus Bar, but everywhere I go, that girl would be there and there'd be a $100 bill in the tip jar. And I'd be like, man, we are making like crazy money.
Yeah.
Like, because of this $100 tip at every show, and it was always her. She'd always give me a $100 tip. And she started showing up at like real obscure shows like Sky Zoo. You know about Sky Zoo in Chattanooga? There was like a stabbing and a shooting at that place. But we were playing there late at night, like into like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, because that place stays open late, and it's like in the middle of Chattanooga. And but no, I think that's the first place we ever kissed was at the Sky Zoo. Behind the building there. And because I was really interested in her. She's absolute beauty. I mean, my wife is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. So, that's why I didn't hesitate, and I married her quick. We got married over there at Nancy Ward.
Oh.
Like with nobody there except for one of my best friends in the world, Matt McClung. He showed up with a bottle of vodka. He said, "You want some of this?" I was like, "No, nobody," because he's always getting into a bottle of something. That guy, but I love that guy. He's also a songwriter as well. I met him. He's the one that got me the hardwood flooring job. That guy, because we were both sleeping on. He was sleeping on that couch. I was sleeping on this couch, and I was writing songs and he's writing songs, and we kind of got known as competition writing songs. I wrote him a song called "Old Friend," and you can listen to that one on YouTube. And but nah, yeah. So that's how we kind of our relationship kind of flourished from that. But his cousin Chris was Chris Battle at Mandroid Flooring. If you want your hardwood floors done. He's the man. I mean, no one does hardwood floors better than that guy. You know, if you ever need redone or whatever, reinstalled, repairs, all of it. He does it all, and he taught me how to do every little bit of it. You know, I thought that was my future. I was going to do that forever. That was because he was paying me really good, like $30 an hour. I mean, I was killing it with him, and so. But no, I just when my wife said, let's try to start this bakery up or whatever, I just jumped on that, But no, yeah, he's the one Matt's the one that introduced me to Chris, and I met all of them we did a Tennessee, the tornado relief. Remember when that tornado came down 411 highway and tore everything up? We were doing the tornado relief over there, and they showed up. They were a band called Furniture, is what they called themselves. Because they said it's because they were jamming in like a storage unit and there's furniture all around them, so they started calling themselves Furniture. But now you can catch them. It's the weirdest thing. I say these are the best band in Cleveland right now. These guys, and this the name of the band is Robo Sapien. Well, is it Robo Sapien? No, Symmetry. Sorry, the old band's Robo Sapien. That's why I said that. Symmetry is the name of the band. I think it's Symatree. So not like typically. So it's kind of Symmetry. And the cool part about that is Matt McClung's son. Because Matt McClung used to play bass for Robo Sapien, but now his son is playing guitar for these guys. And the old guitar player's son is playing bass for these guys. So you got the sons filled in the roles of their fathers, and the father owns Windmill Guitars. So you might know Windmill Guitars. I just passed Don Wade's music on the way here, and that's back when I was in like the 6th grade. Don Wade taught me how to play guitar. So,
did you take lessons from him?
Yeah, at Clark's Music. Yeah, I did. He taught me everything I know.
Boy, he's good, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way he taught. He taught so well, And I brought a guitar, by the way. It's in the car, though. I don't know if you guys can pause it and I'll go get it and play a song. But anyways, but no. So yeah.
The Riverfront Band, they're not still active, right?
No, man, we had a big fallout, because the same thing that's happening right now. Like I told you, I've been able to contact you because I've got my phone's in SOS mode, and it's saying I got no SIM, and it's the hardest thing to fix when your phone's messed up. Because who are you supposed to call with a broken phone? You know what I mean? So I did call Xfinity today and tried to talk to them, and they said, "Can you take your SIM card out?" Like I was like, "Oh man, isn't that like the hardest thing to do with with an iPhone? You gotta have that little key."
Yeah. Can't you take it to a place?
Yeah, but does Xfinity have a shop? I mean, like I used to be with Verizon. I could go right there, but now I don't know where to go for Xfinity. But I'm gonna figure it all out. But the weirdest thing happened. It was my wife got pregnant with Atlas, my first son, and we fell into like a dark space, right? Like a scary dark space where we were living in like this rundown trailer that my buddy Roger owned. He's living in the garage right next to it, and we're running water from the house up the hill on a water hose down to our house, and the water hose busts a hole and it's leaking, and the people that are living up there are like, "Hey, this is costing us too much money with this leaky water hose, and this isn't working." And so we got kicked out of that spot in like December or something, and we're having a baby in like June, and we were in panic mode. I had a pregnant wife, nowhere to live, coming off of a unsuccessful band, truthfully. It's not like the River Funk ever took off. I never really expected to need money and need to be taken care of so much. I didn't think I was going to need all that. I just thought I'd float around, be homeless. Yeah, that was my plan from 2010. Because you could do that if if it's just you, you're not going to starve. You got days until you starve to death.
Yeah.
As long as you got some water, you'll be all right. And that's kind of what happens on 64 highway if you let it at the rafting thing. It's so much fun. Every day's so fun out there. But anyways, I fell in love with the girl and got her pregnant, and it was time to get serious. And we got so lucky. My dad took out a $5,000 loan, and gave me that was the down deposit. He almost like a wedding gift, right? And it got us into this house I'm in over there in Old Fort. And the worst part about that house at Old Fort was the flooring. So that's what I did, right?
Yeah.
So we just took that LVT, that luxury vinyl.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't tile, it was actually plank. So luxury vinyl plank. We chucked that in the dumpster, and we had Millwood Specialty Flooring show up with their big pickup truck that they, how they, you don't know how they do, but they're next to Lake Winnie. If you ever need some flooring, they provide it. They'll ship it to you and everything. They're a great company to work with. They gave us that cabin grade material, and I slapped it in that house, and that house looks beautiful now.
Did you sand it, rent a sander and everything?
Well, Chris showed up and he did it all for free for me. So yeah, he showed up with all his equipment, and I worked too on the house, of course, but he showed up, and he even hired a guy. He had a guy come out and help too. So like another guy came out to help too. So yeah, it cost him money to come help me on my house. So he's always been a great friend.
Good friend.
He really has. He's always been a great friend, and that's why I'm trying to. He has that awesome band you got to listen to, Symmetry. They're really great, and they play all over Cleveland all the time.
What type of music do they play?
It's like a fast-paced, like electronic, but it's all real instruments, But they got a keyboard player in there, and the keyboard player and him, they met at Blockbuster. So the guy Josh is working at Blockbuster, and Chris is going in there renting movies. And I guess they ran into each other at a show, and he's like, "You like this kind of music?" He's like, "Yeah, I like this kind of music." And they just got together and they started Robo Sapien, and then from Robo Sapien it became Symmetry, and they've been playing together so long. I'm telling you, it's tight. It's
Is
really
it like
tight.
techno music?
Not really. It's hard to explain. It really is hard to explain. It is kind of techno-y, but not really, because it's real. It's a real band. You know what I mean? So you can't it's not like canned music. You know what I'm saying? Where the canned music, like you press play and boom, it's going. But that's not what they're doing. Chris plays the drums. And he's been playing for 25 years.
Wavelengths and stuff like that, maybe?
If you know what you're listening to, you can tell when the songs change. But if you don't, it sounds like one long song. But if you know what you're listening to, you'll know that the songs changed. And because I know their band really well, so I know that. But yeah, no, they're really great, man. I couldn't talk about them enough. They're awesome.
But the main thing now is this restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Does Bill Moats ever come in there? Do you know Bill Moats?
No, I don't know him.
He runs Ocoee Regional Health Corporation down there on the right past y'all.
Okay, he might. I'm so busy in the back. I got regulars that come in the bakery all the time, and if I'm running the bakery, grab some stuff from there, because we kind of use the bakery and the Hunting Club because they're so close to each other. Like, we'll go over there and get bread, bring it back to make our Sammys. We have these 12-inch Sammys that we make over there, But yeah, so I'll see a regular in there, and he'd be like, "I haven't seen you in forever," and I'd be like, "I've been in the back, at the Honey and Clove," and he'd be like, "Oh, we just went there to eat the other day," and I didn't even see him then. So no, I don't get to come out too much when I'm back there. It's busier than you think. It's crazy.
So that's making enough to make a living?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're doing pretty good over there so far.
How long have you been
especially with this
open?
winter being behind us. Wintertime is tough.
When did y'all open?
The Honey and Clove opened last year. I can't remember when the opening was. I think it was like June or something like that. Like right at the
Did you have to do the renovation yourself, or was
No.
it already done?
No, that's it used to be the vegan restaurant. It used to be a vegan restaurant called The Vine. And Miss Jane, she lives right up behind us, and she used to own The Vine. And she's a really sweet lady, a gardener, and I'm a big gardener myself. But she's a big gardener up there. She's so super nice. But Miss Sally Moss bought the building, right? And Sally's been really great to us too. She's done all that, like the beautiful white rocks that are all around the building, and that Japanese maple got all trimmed, and all the weeds got pulled, and there's just beautiful flowers everywhere. Well, there's not flowers yet, but there will be. There was last year.
How do y'all decide what to have for the menu?
That's my wife's, man.
Why did she pick the things she picked?
I think she's going for like, inventory thing, like got to have the burgers, got to have enough burgers to last all week. And if you got the right amount of steak, you'll have a good amount of steak, but you don't have too much steak, 'cause that steak will go bad on you, and that'll cost you. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing. I'm seeing how she does it. Like, we ran out of steak, not all of it, but we ran out of our 12-ounce ribeyes, and we ran out of our 10-ounce ribeyes, or maybe it's an 8-ounce. Ugh. Can't remember right now, but yes, we ran out, right, and people were a bit upset about that, like people don't want you to run out, but you got to be. If you have a good week, it's hard to judge, right? Like it just is. It really is.
Can you just say, hey, we're out of that?
Yeah, but no, people still get angry. They get upset for real. They get really upset because they wanted to come there. They wanted to try a specific thing, and
you don't think that makes them think that they're really good and they'll have to come back next week?
Some people, me and you maybe, we sit down and somebody's out of something, we go, no, I'll take the buffalo chicken tenders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Give me the salad.
Toss those in. Toss those in buffalo sauce. I'll be good. I don't really care. I don't ever think about it. But no, since I've been in the back and hearing some of these comments, I go, oh, okay. Like, no, people want you to have, but we don't want to what we could do is we could double down on a steak and we could buy extra steak and we could freeze it. Mm-hmm. But what I've heard is you don't want to freeze steak. You know what I mean? You don't want to freeze the steak. It ruins it. So we could do that, but we don't do that, and we don't freeze the patties. We got the smash burgers. You ever heard of these things? Mm-mm. Man, me neither. I hadn't heard about smash burgers either, but my wife was like, people love them. And I watched a couple YouTube videos to learn how to do the smash burger properly. Mm-hmm. We got this little thing. You press that burger down, right? You smash it, and you do like little circles, and you smash it flat almost, right? And it's got kind of holes because you smashed it so flat, and then you immediately try to flip that over, and then put whatever you want. Basically, the cheese that's going to go on top of that is going to hold that patty together.
Oh Lord, yeah,
it's good, dude. I made the best hamburger of my life last night over there before because I was on a 3-day fast. I did a 3-day fast before I came here.
How come?
Because I want to look as good as you, Dee. Yeah, you came in the honey clove the other day, and Gina was like, "Who is that sexy old man?"
Old. Well,
you ain't old. Yeah, my bad. I ain't saying you're old, but
these chairs make your stomach look bigger.
Yeah.
You know what
I like these chairs, brother.
Well,
these are nice.
They're supposed to make you sit up straight, but I tend to want to go like that.
They got that little handle. Oh
yeah. That's what we do to tall people.
Yeah, I ain't tall. I'll tell you that right now. I need to probably come up. That's what I should do, so y'all can see the number. When you came in though, I've only seen you on the show.
Yeah, was your wife working there?
No, she wasn't working.
Okay.
I was gonna say thank God because it was. I hadn't even told her about the show yet because she's pregnant and she's got so much responsibility, and for me to
take the time to do this.
Yeah, and I got her. She's watching the kids right now, So and she's let me do it, and but I hadn't even told. That's why when you came in, I was like a nervous wreck. I don't know if you remember that. I was like, oh my gosh, the discussion podcast this Sunday, it's all that's happening this Sunday. I gotta get serious. I gotta tell her. And I invited her to come too, because I thought she'd be great in that chair right there. But she said, you just go ahead, you do it this time, and maybe next time she'll come out. She just wants to see what it's like. She'll watch the episode.
I'm hoping that this gets y'all a lot of business.
Me too. Yeah.
What's your specialty there?
I love those smash burgers. I was about to say that smash burger, man, is I made the Dolly Whopper for myself yesterday. And what that is that's 2 patties. So we'll give you 2 smashed patties, right? And what I doubled down on everything on my sandwich yesterday. I put double tomato, I put double lettuce, double the onions, and the double patty. And that thing was so big, I had to break my jaw to eat that.
Do y'all have breakfast there too?
Yeah, that's the Sunday brunch.
Oh, but that's not during the week.
10 to 2 on Sundays. Oh. No, and I see why she does that, because we do this thing called the cow and chicken, which is steak and eggs. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's my favorite for sure. I'm all about the protein, and the thing about that is we'll sell out of those ribeyes, and we'll sell out of that some of those New York strips because we got a. I think it's a 6-ounce New York strip for sure, but then I think it's a 10-ounce New York strip, or it might be. I'm getting these 10 and the 8 ribeye and New York strip mixed
I don't know
up.
if people can tell the difference, really. Do you?
Well,
10 or 8?
the New
What's
York
the
strip
difference?
is more. I think they get it from like the back or something like that of the cow. But the ribeye is located closer to the ribs, so it's got a lot of like fat on it. So
Yeah.
depending on what you like, if you know what you like, then I think I like the ribeye more because I like that fat. you
Me
know.
too. I think I like that.
Yeah, I like the fat.
I think it's better for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's nothing better for you than some good old protein. You know what I mean? Protein. Yeah, I've been trying to preach that to all my ladies, and all my ladies in there. They all want to lose weight, and if you just buckle down on the protein, you could eat as much protein as you want to. You know what I mean?
Protein won't put any fat on you.
And the older you get, the more protein you need. You know, I do protein shakes and all that stuff. You know, so but anyways, yeah, that steak and eggs comes up, and we get so many of those New York strips because I guess they sell it in, they sell you in weight or whatever. So since they're so small, they're not small, but they're pretty, they're like that big. So by the end of the week, we got a couple of those sitting around, because everybody buys this one and they buy the other 3. But those are sitting around, so that steak and eggs comes up on Sunday, and we sell a lot of those steaks and eggs on Sunday. So we're pulling a lot of those 6-ounces out, and
Is it a
works
lot
out.
of church people on Sundays?
I think if we stayed open a little bit later, yes, absolutely. And we got like VeggieTales Bibles, down here for the kids, and I got Bibles in the corner for people to, read. So we are trying to attract that church crowd, and we don't sell liquor or alcohol in there. So, it's a really nice dining experience too, because it's so clean in there and stuff. So yeah, we're hoping more and more church people come in. Maybe if we stayed open a little bit later, maybe we could catch more of the church crowd. But
Don't you have Billy Lawson's candles in there?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Cool.
Oh, they're good candles, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You better believe it. Yeah, we're trying to sell all sorts of stuff on that. We got so many shelves in there. You notice that?
It's similar to Gardner's in Cleveland, but an upper scale menu. I'm seeing that because you've got a lot of the displays and stuff.
Yeah, we got so many shelves in there. It's
Why
like
the VeggieTales Bible?
my grandma sent me that, and I was reading it to the boys every other night, and I, I'm just trying to. I want it to be like, I want it to be a beautiful. I believe in the Lord. I believe in God. He's helped me in so many ways. That's why we're in the bakery. That's why we're in the Honey and Clove Bistro. That's why I've had a near-death experience myself, where I was 16 years old and I was trying to get to. I borrowed my uncle's bike. We were on vacation in Texas, and I borrowed my uncle's bike because he said I could use it, but he didn't say I could use it like this. But when I lived here in Cleveland, we could ride our bikes all the way to Blockbuster. And that's just how this town was.
Yeah.
We could ride our bikes all the way to Blockbuster, me and my little brother, and so I was very comfortable on a bike and going far distances. And that morning when I woke up, I wasn't feeling well. I had something going on in my throat. And my mom's like, well, we're going to take everybody, and we're going to go to the beach, meet up with Uncle Joey, and we're going to go with his kids and hang out. And I was like, I'm going to stay here at the house and watch some movies and stuff. But then by the end of not the end of the day, but middle of the day, I was like, I want to go. And so I thought it was just right down the road. And I jumped on that bike and I went like 10 miles or something. And I got to this long bridge down there in Galveston. It was probably a Tiki Island, Galveston, right between the two. And the bridge had no shoulder. And I tried to go on that no shoulder, and people were honking at me and getting real close to me. And I was like, I'm getting off of this. Got off, went down to every building I could find, trying to use their phone, called my dad. He's like, stay put, don't move. We're coming to get you. And I was like, I'm going home. I'll go back down the feeder road that way, the way I came. And I went trying to cross that interstate, and I got caught by a SUV. And so it hit the back of the bike and it sent me twirling, and it instantly knocked me out. And then when I came to, in a way, I was in a dream, and I was like pedaling on the beach, and it was like sandy underneath me, and it was the bike was like sluggish because I was going through all this sand, and it was like dawn, or it was like dusk, in the dream. And I sat down, and I got off that bike, I sat down, and I was like, man, And I like looked over, and there's this super bright light, sitting next to me. And I was just like, couldn't even like look at it. And it was like, look around you. You see this beach house empty like this? I was like, yeah. And it was like, well, next time you come here, it'll be filled with all your loved ones and all your family members that you care about and all the friends you made throughout life. But it's not time yet to be at this here, location, like this little spot. So wake up and go back. And when I woke up, that bright light was actually, I was laying on my back and I was staring into the sun, right? And I had this paramedic in my face, and he's like, oh, hey, And I was...
So do you believe that was real?
Well, I mean, what is a near-death experience? You know what I mean? Like, they're, I don't exactly know what they are, but might not even been close to death.
But you weren't predisposed to that story, right?
Yeah, no. That's definitely something that just kind of happened to me very, fluidly. It just happened. And,
wasn't a scary feeling, really?
no, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was that, it's like it was sunset. It was a beautiful sunset on a beautiful beach. Not a Houston, Texas beach. It was some beach in Hawaii or something. It was gorgeous, and the bright light was warm and comforting. But when I woke up, it was the sun, and the warm comfort I was feeling was actually my back was like on fire because I was laying on that Texas
it's hot,
asphalt.
isn't it?
I was laying on that Texas asphalt. And I knocked back out, woke up, I was being put in the ambulance, knocked back out, woke up, I was being gurneyed past my family at the hospital, knocked back out, woke back up, and I was they were having to scrub me everywhere that I'd hit in that Texas asphalt because they had to get that Texas asphalt out from my skin because it'll poison you apparently.
Oh.
I passed back out from the pain of that, woke up, and it was middle of the night, they were checking on me in the hospital bed, like my nurse was. And I was like, what have I done? Because I know how expensive ambulance, everything. I probably cost my dad a fortune on that little vacation he was trying to take. And it was definitely but that's not
He
even.
probably had insurance covered.
Possibly. He worked in Mars, I don't know. I think he could have. But that wasn't my first near-death experience. The first time I almost got killed was when I was 16 months old. I apparently crawled. My dad was taking a shower. My uncle was watching me. And I crawled, or maybe my mom was taking a shower. My uncle was watching me. And I crawled at the front door, went to my neighbor's driveway, and he was pulling out for work. And he ran me over up to here. And then it almost, anyways. So he brought my mangled mess of a baby body to the front door, and he's like, I've done a terrible thing, and sorry. And then, but luckily I live right next to the Texas Children's Hospital, and they're known for their amazing ability to take care of children and all that stuff they do, and they brought me back, man. I'm telling you, and that's a weird thing that when you have that experience as a kid, people always tell you, you're. And my grandma, she's very religious, and she's one with God. She's got that ability, right? So they got in a prayer circle in the front yard, and it might have helped me. You know what I mean? Them praying for me
And you feel sorry for the guy that ran over you. It wasn't he didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't have thought that.
He thought he was running over a bike. He said, and it ended up being me. But yeah, no. So.
I used to drink coffee with a guy that was at the Waffle House 2 or 3 times a week. I'd come in there and he was there too, and something was a little bit off with him, but I never knew exactly what it was. He wasn't crazy or nothing, just a little different. And I went in there one day, and he had tears in his eyes, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I was able to find the guy that hit me with his car and caused me to be this way. And I was able to tell him I've been okay." And I thought, man, that tore him up. He was so happy that he was able to tell the guy that he had had an okay life.
Yeah, my mom took me to that same house, and the same guy that did run me over he was still living there with his entire family. They were all still there, and the house where we used to live was still there too. It was an old cul-de-sac, and so she took me there, and they were in tears too, because I was pretty decently smart. I'm not like, I'm not the most intelligent man, but I'm pretty normal. And they said my brain was like, pretty messed up. They said it was like, let's say like smashing a microchip and then putting it back together. So they thought I would have issues. They thought I'd have problems, and I could someday. Someday I could have terrible migraines or terrible headaches. I don't know. We're still kind of waiting on that, and I'm praying to God, keep
I believe
all
it would
that away
happen
from me.
Can you imagine the trauma that guy was living with his whole life? I couldn't imagine living with that.
Yeah.
Could you?
No.
It'd make you want to commit suicide or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is you grow up and people are always telling you how lucky you are to be alive.
Well,
and
that's
it
the
does a
truth.
little something to you, and I think it could be kind of part of the reason why I always was looking for more out of life. Like not trying to just be average, trying to kayak and trying to play in a band or doing all this weird, outlandish things. Trying to be different.
Are you of French descent?
Yeah. How'd you know that?
I
That's
can always
interesting.
pick up on it.
That's so interesting. My dad is 75% French.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's where Lancto comes from. It was actually used to be spelled Lanqueateau.
The French are kind of known for their laid back, aren't they?
I don't know.
Aren't they, Gwen? They're not? Well,
Well, yeah, but
don't they have 4-day work weeks or something? They're not?
yeah,
Well.
that's an interesting thing. My family's been here since I've looked at Ancestry.com. I got that free trial, and I found out my family's been here since like 1660.
Oh, that
They were
23 and
French
me or
Canadians.
something?
Well, I did that too, and I found out I'm mainly Scottish. Actually, I'm like 30% Scottish, but I'm a mutt. You know what I mean? I'm English, Scottish, French,
French, Scottish.
a little bit of Baltic in there,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a Viking in the mix
Yeah.
somewhere. But no, they came over on the boat, and they were some of the first to settle. What's it called? Montreal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it was just a fort then. It was a big fort town, and that's how they first came. My first relative was killed by an Iroquois Indian.
Around what year would that have been that they came over?
Like 1660.
1660.
Yeah, 1660. So we've been here a long
time.
Yeah, and then but that's the funny thing. My grandfather, we still own this house. He lives right on the Canadian border. Like he lived right on the Canadian border.
Like
If you miss his exit, you're gonna have to deal with the border patrol. If you miss, and I have
can he
missed
go?
that exit.
Can he go back and forth pretty easily?
He was a musician as well. My grandfather was a musician as well, so he wanted to be close to Montreal.
Hank Snow country.
Yeah, sure. I don't know who Hank Snow is, but yeah.
Well, he's a country western singer that made it big in America from Canada.
Yeah, I come from a long line of country
Never heard of Hank
music
Snow?
singers that haven't made it big.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard of Hank Snow, but I will definitely look him up. I love old school stuff. That's my favorite.
He's so more. I mean, he was big. He was as big as he had the same producer as Elvis, I think.
Oh wow.
He was
I
prior
was
to
just
Elvis.
listening to Elvis today.
Yeah.
Because one of our waitresses, Hope, that's her favorite guy. She got a Elvis air freshener in her car. So we were listening to Elvis today. I love Elvis. Yeah, no, that's cool. I will definitely look him up. That's really cool.
Now, what kind of music are you more Americana?
You could call it that, yeah. Because I try not to settle on like a genre exactly. Because like I don't know why I did that, but I probably would be successful if I just stuck to like maybe country or something. You know what I mean? But I always hated country growing up. My dad always like forced me to listen to like country, and now I love it. I love like old school Willie Nelson. Like Shotgun Willie. I could do that. I love that album. I remember drinking a bottle of Evan Williams.
Waylon Jennings?
Yeah, I could do that too.
Yeah.
Anything old school I could do. It's just like when I grew up, it was kind of like that barbecue stain in my
Oh,
white
yeah.
T-shirt. And
Yeah.
She was killing me. And
Yeah.
it's just, I
My
couldn't.
bucket's got a hole in it, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I just was like, this stuff is stupid. I didn't love
Country
it.
westerns is what?
I like that old
Yeah.
school stuff. Like I was about to say that Shotgun Willie, I listened to that in the back of my car. And I was in Asheville, North Carolina. And I was sleeping in the back of the truck like I would do sometimes. Had a pad, whatever, and I had a bottle of Evan Williams back there, and I was just pounding it, listening to Shotgun Willie, I don't know if you've ever done that, but man,
No.
nothing to help you get through a breakup better than Shotgun Willie just moaning sounds, as you just pound Evan Williams.
Well, women breaking up with you at a young age will mess you up, won't they?
Yeah.
Everybody's had that, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of broke up with the girl that I broke up with though because I was gonna pursue the river funk. It was time, I was tired of her, and her stuff. I just was like, this is not what I don't want this. She was like a RN or whatever, a nurse, so she's making good money and she could kind of take care of me, and I kind of just float around and do my thing. And I was like, I don't want a babysitter. I don't want have somebody wipe my butt for me. I want to get out there and do it myself. So I moved back from Wyoming in like 2015, and I went to my buddy John Nairn's house, and he was the old lead guitarist, and I approached him. He was weed eating for a guy in Cleveland, It would be one of these mini grass companies.
Yeah.
And I was like, buddy, you're too good at the guitar. You got to start playing lead guitar for the River Funk, and because I was putting it together. I'd already had the bass player, Hunter Michael, and I had the drummer, Jordan Michael. He was my old rafting buddy. So me and him would always raft side by side down to everything and anything. And you can see a lot of that rafting videos on YouTube as well. I got all that on my channel. It's just River.
Did you write Same Shit song?
Yeah, I love that one. That's that song was the first song I ever wrote, and I just now came out.
Where'd you come up with the name?
Well, I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So so I just now put out a good version.
You didn't know what the
that.
same was.
I wrote that on Benton Mackay Trail. So I went up there and I looked around and there was nobody out there, and it was just me and those trees, and I was like, let's do it. Let's write one, finally. And got my little notebook out. I wrote down a poem, a really long poem, because that's all the whole song is a long poem.
Yeah.
And and I recorded that one on my phone, and just was so proud of it. And after that, I've probably written like 60 songs. I've got 60 songs on YouTube. I don't know if anybody else in Cleveland has written as many songs as I have. I'm not sure, but maybe there is somebody out there.
Can you make money on them?
It's kind of complicated. You can get DistroKid. It's like a new distributor.
Yeah, or Disco. What do they call it? Disco.
There's DistroKid, and then there's
Disco Dog. No.
I can't remember the other one because I'm so obsessed with DistroKid right now because I feel like they're the
newest.
but then I've watched some YouTube videos where they're watch out for DistroKid, So it's there's multiple distributors that could get you on Spotify, right? And Spotify's paying nothing. They're paying people nothing, and I'm basically living in. I'm a musician living in a podcaster's world. You know what I mean? It's not a great time to be a musician right now, but of course there's people that are successful, so I'm not gonna act like there's not.
How do they get there? Figure that one out.
The rap scene, they got their way with I don't know how they do it exactly, but you're seeing all this P. Diddy stuff coming out and all this craziness, so you kind of got to sell your soul to the devil a little bit to be successful there.
Well, Sabrina Carpenter, that's the only song I heard for the past 6 months, and all of a sudden that Lola Young came out with that song Messy, and it's everywhere.
That's awesome.
Have you heard it?
What about, no, I haven't heard it, but what about that Oliver Anthony kid, right? Who came out with that Richmond, North of Richmond song?
He ain't got nothing on Lola Young.
Yeah, I don't know her
she's
yet.
blowing up.
Yeah, I believe it. She's probably beautiful, right?
Nope.
No, not beautiful, girl? Okay, all right.
Nope.
They're all beautiful, right?
Nope, she's not got that.
That's cool, yeah. I'm looking for that. That's why I've written so many.
Sabrina Carpenter's got that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what makes some work. It might just strictly be advertising.
Yeah, some people will literally put their song out as an advertisement, right? On YouTube.
That's probably all they do.
They'll put it out like a 3-minute ad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have to listen to it, or you won't have to. Sometimes you get stuck on an ad on YouTube. You know what I mean?
It all goes back to ads, I think.
Yeah, and I don't have any ads on my YouTube channel, and I don't know if that hurts me. I bet it does. I bet YouTube wants ads, So the fact that I don't give any, because I've only got 3-minute, hits. You know what I mean? Just 3-minute clips.
What would you say is your best song?
My favorite one I've ever written is "Big Old Rock," or my wife's. I wrote my wife a song, but It's kind of out. I've got it like a acoustic version of it. It's called Indicación, and it's I was just the reason it's called Indicación is because I just flipped open a dictionary and I pointed my finger, and when I looked, it said Indicación, and that means indication in Spanish.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's awesome. So it's the chord progression is all piano, and so I can't even play it on guitar. But like I just love that chord progression, and then I love Big Ol' Rock because I love the lyrics, and I love the lyrics, and I love the chord progression, and I can actually play that one on guitar. But it's kind of I couldn't go get the guitar right now and pull it out and play it right now because I'd have to relook up a couple of the chords and once I've been practicing and like I'm ready, then I can play Big Ol' Rock on the guitar. But I can play it on the piano like it's nothing. Like I know it. I was playing it last night with my son Atlas because we were over there at the Honey and Clove Bistro, and in the conference room right next to us, we got a big old piano in there.
Is his chord good, Gwen? So
Yeah.
so where did you learn to you just play by ear?
Don Wade.
Don Wade.
Don Wade taught me the guitar, and then we always had a piano in my house. So I learned how to play When the Saints Go Marching In, on C, E, F, G, C, E, F, G.
I don't think Don Wade could teach me to play the guitar. I just don't have that type of mind.
Well, my dad played, right? So there was guitars on the wall, and you can catch his stuff on Facebook. He's still writing music and putting it out there too. So
Country music.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. He's got this song I love called "Hole in My Heart as Big as Texas." That's a great one he wrote, and he had a 9/11 song that he wrote back in the day that I really love too. It's called "United Now." This kind of.
Seems like I remember that song.
He put it out on CD. I don't know. He had my drawing was on the cover too, but no. So he was a big influence. And my grandfather played, and his grandfather before him, and so it's kind of like a tradition in our family. But he was always so open about like playing his songs he wrote that it kind of inspired me to just be like, forget about it. I'll do whatever I want. Like I'll put out 50 songs and nobody likes them. Okay, maybe if I get a hit. Like that kid Oliver Anthony did, and I know you might not know who I'm talking about when I say that.
Oh, I know it, yeah. That was a big hit.
Yeah, after he got that one, everybody started looking at his other stuff. And then he was able to sell his other stuff too, so he was able to...
But now you don't hear about him anymore.
That's fine, but he probably made $60,000, at least $100,000, I don't know. That's how it goes with Apple Music. People will it's almost like they're tipping you. Like, here's $1 tip. Yeah, I'll buy your song for $1. Here's a tip. I love you, kid, And so
$1.29, something like that.
But you also got to get a distributor to get on those platforms, and that's kind of what DistroKid would do for me. I could get on Spotify, and that's like $150, and that's all it would cost, right? $150, I could be on Spotify, but we're trying to concentrate on the Honey and Clove Bistro. We're trying to concentrate on the Bakery on Main. So
that's the current focus right now. It's got to be.
Yeah, the music is just for fun. But I was gonna release a song before I came out here to kind of promote it, but because I got a new one that I've been working on. It's called I'm not sure about the name yet. It's either called Buying Gaza or it's called Owning Gaza. Like because of the Trump thing, right?
Right.
Like it's about that. Like it's like if you want peace, get ready for war. Let's bomb the Middle East till they don't want it no more. Somebody please tell me, what are we fighting for? Because all the painful imagery is shaking me to my core. And I've been writing songs with my buddy Zane Holcomb, who I worked with at Outland Expeditions. He's been sending me beats like that he's been creating on his computer. And he sends them to me, and I put them on my Apple MacBook, and I just try to sing on them.
What you need is one of these big stars to buy one of your songs and do it.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I'm all about anything.
Of course, they tweak
anything. Yeah, I'm all about anything. That's why I'm here. I'm here because just promoting stuff. Like I think it's a great idea just to get out there and promote stuff.
Where'd you get the name Honey and Clove? Is that from the Bible?
That's my wife. No, I don't think it is from the Bible.
Wasn't that term in the Bible?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking the land of milk and honey.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's actually kind of from. She wanted to call it the honey hole. Like for fishing. Yeah, she wanted to call it the honey hole. But I don't know where she got honey and clove. I love that because that's our thing. We do sweet. We're very like my mama used to do everything like this. She put sugar in the spaghetti. My mama, like, It would be the sweetest spaghetti you ever had. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good. But she also had her own buffalo wing sauce my mom used to make, where it would be the cheapest hot sauce you could buy, right? Which is that just Texas. It's
Texas Pete.
It's not Texas Pete because that's too spicy. It's like the off-brand Walmart Texas style.
Yeah.
And you dump like 2 bottles of that, and then you whole stick of butter, and then dump an anthill-sized mound of sugar in that, right? And just stir that up, and then you add a little cornstarch to thicken it, or whatever it is. And you slap that on some like overdone chicken wings, like some extra crispies, and man, that's the best chicken wings you ever had. I ate so many of those, I almost wanted to throw up one night.
I think that's how buffalo sauce was made, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a lady in the kitchen.
Thing.
Yeah,
I've had the Buffalo New York wings before. They are the bomb, no joke. They're more vinegary. They got like a real vinegary thing going on. Yeah, but it's still super good. I had those when we would go visit upstate New York all the time, you know, with my dad because he always wanted to get back to his roots up there. And we went ice fishing on Lake Champlain up there. You know about Lake Champlain, either of y'all? Man, there's a lot of history on Lake Champlain, buddy. There's like sunken battleships down there from.
Where was the Edmunds Fitzgerald? Remember that song?
I don't remember that
You're
song.
too young for that, aren't they?
I guess.
Edmunds Fitzgerald. Remember that song, Win? Who sung that one?
We got a win cam.
Dan Ford Coley? Or was that, you'll think of it in a minute.
I don't know, but I'm going to listen to it on the way home.
Edmunds
I guarantee
Fitzgerald.
you that.
Yeah, that's a famous song.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Champlain is named after the great guy like Champlain.
That's where they have the Loch Ness Monster.
He's the Champy, the Lake Champlain monster.
Yeah.
And when we were ice fishing,
That wasn't Loch Ness.
we were with the mayor. He was an old man, and he said he was the mayor at the time when they made up Champy. He said he was the mayor when they made it up. They were trying to get publicity for.
But that was
Lake
Champy,
Champlain.
not Loch Ness.
No, Loch Ness was in Lake Ness in Scotland, I think. You know, whatever.
But Lake Champlain, he was with them when they, what was it? They pulled a board with looked like a head across the thing.
Like when they faked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, you're right, dude. You're totally right. Yeah, that's Champy. That's Champy for you. That's a.
But Loch Ness, there's people who claim it was real.
Yeah.
Or it is real.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an old dinosaur or something, you know, like one of those
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
that comes in through the locks,
those,
maybe.
Like paddles for hands or whatever, and the long necks. Yeah. That could be possible. I believe it. I mean, Lake Ness is very deep, and the Champlain's got a lot of lore because it's got a lot of history. It's a beautiful. The French and the English were fighting each other on Lake Champlain. They were going at it on Lake Champlain. It's awesome, man. I mean,
Is it really a lake? Where's it get its water from?
the Ice Ages, just like the Great Lakes. It would be a Great Lake if it was bigger, but it's just not. It's not big like that. But nah, yeah, that's Champlain was fighting Indians on it, Native Americans on it, and then there's forts settled there by the English and by the French that where the English would build one and the French come take it, and then the English take it back, and these beautiful old forts are still around. They're called star forts. You ever heard of star forts and stuff?
Yep.
Like they started shaping them like stars because the cannonballs would come in, and they didn't want to make towers anymore. Making towers is stupid, right? And I'm like, how did they build all these? My dad took me to, I can't remember what it's called, the star fort up there on Lake Champlain, but they built it with the sand. They would get the sand from the bank, and they could take the sand and they could mix it up with I don't know, with like a mortar or something, and they could build star forts out there like it was nothing.
Maybe a little clay.
Yeah, I mean
Clay
they were
and
building these
sand or
things,
something.
man. I mean it's incredible work they were able to put in. It's some beautiful structures. They rebuilt it. A lot of the forts up there because they get destroyed or whatever. But there's actually history there where the battle where they won back. I think it's Boston in the American Revolution, like one of the first victories for the Americans. They went up to that star fort. Wish I could remember the name of it right now. Ticonderoga. Fort Ticonderoga.
yeah.
They went up to Fort Ticonderoga. It was Henry Knox went up to Fort Ticonderoga, and because he had heard rumors that there was cannons and cannonballs up there still, and they went up there in the dead of winter and trudged up there with a bunch of Americans, grabbed those cannons, those cannonballs, took them to Boston, and ran the English out of the city of Boston. And they had to set up shop outside of Boston in the harbor. All the Englishmen did after that great victory that the Americans were able to pull off. And they said that turned the tides of the American Revolution. So Fort
Can you
Ticonderoga.
imagine how far we've come since 1660?
Yeah, it's wild, ain't it? I just
mean-
read Jubal Sackett the other day by Louis L'Amour. I read that book the other day. Man, it was such a good book. It starts right here. It starts.
Is
right,
that a fiction book, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, Louis L'Amour was born in the 1920s or something like that, or maybe he wrote the book in the 1920s. So he had some knowledge about these Native Americans, and it's just such a beautiful
Probably
story.
a fiction, but true to the life.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about how like you could recognize a Cherokee because they wore turbans, and that's true. If you look at some pictures of some of the Cherokee guys, they would wear turbans, and
Well, on Walden's Pond, he talks about that.
we're all up in Cherokee land right here, because in their Cherokee were advanced. They were living in like wood cabins.
Oh, they ran the Ute Indians out.
Yeah,
There's-
they ran the natives that were on the Ocoee were called Catawba, apparently. I don't know if that's 100% factual, but the Catawba.
I thought it was the Ute Indians.
Well, no, you gotta
Maybe.
remember there were so many. Like there was no
But this
strong. The Cherokee were the strongest in this area, so they were kind of a defined strong.
They had a government,
nation.
form of
Yeah.
government.
Yeah, they were like defined.
Roads.
But everybody else was not. And then Louis L'Amour gets into that, with some of these Native Americans that show up in the story. It's just like you never know who to trust, or they didn't have friends. Like they could kill you for nothing. Just
The
because
Cherokee.
I think
the-
the Cherokee were a little different, but
they were more
some of those
civilized.
roving bands were if you were useful, they keep you around, but they could get rid of you quick, and just walk away from it.
Wonder
like it was
how in the
nothing.
world. I wish we could know the true history of people that settled here from, Adam and Eve, that far back. Because, the Cherokee, they didn't get here by accident. Prior to them was the Ute or that other one you're talking about. Who was before them?
Yeah, and they now I'm all into these this whole lost civilization stuff. I mean, I don't know if you heard about all this with just like there's the Bering Strait up there in Alaska where
Yeah.
they say the first people came through,
Yeah.
but then now there's people are like, well, when you look at this Native American DNA, you see a strong correlation between like Aboriginal Australians, and it just seems like there was a seafaring culture. That
or
was
did
able
we
to-
go there?
Yeah,
With, of course,
there's
the Bering
even-
Straits.
Yeah, there's even like
But you think about this: if Adam and Eve, if the story of Adam and Eve's real, then how did they even get here or there?
Yeah, and I mean that's also like a very weird like story too, because it sounds like Adam and Eve are kind of in God's garden, in a way, like they're in like a location.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's almost like more going on outside of their location. Like there's some more stuff going on.
You mean like
outside.
there were other?
Like they were specific. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like they were like a specific. Us. They were like the
Maybe-
perfect humans, but then there was like maybe like
the Neanderthal or
yeah.
those 7 other
Yeah,
types
I've read
of
a
humans?
good book about the Neanderthal called Neanderthal Rediscovered. It's all talking about and there's also the Denisovans, and there's the tiny humans called like the Homo floresiensis. I
Yeah,
can't
they
even
were
say
like
it right.
3 feet tall or something.
Yeah, the dwarfs are in Indonesia.
yeah.
Yeah, they're finding more and more.
They're finding those, aren't they?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they really are. And they think it's because of our ability to speak to each other and our ability to group up, and we could just outnumber anybody. And maybe that's how we were able to get rid of the Neanderthals, because we were.
But don't they have some people have some DNA in them that from Neanderthal?
Neanderthal survived
Golly.
with their DNA. Yeah, that'd be an ugly.
I believe you got more Neanderthal in you than I do.
That's that French. That's that French.
What about the moon-eyed people? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard that in this area. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, like these lost civilizations. There's even stories about, here in America, there being like some giants where it's a Native American lore where they said that they were, it's like there's stories where it's like there's this lake, right? Like, and these Native Americans were able to run these red-haired giants into this, they ran them into the lake. And they crossed the lake into this cave, right? And they waited these giants out. And then when the giants came out, they killed them all. And it was like the end of their race. And and they discovered there really is a lake. So this lore that had been passed down for all these years was correct about some ancient, like 13,000-year-old lake. So it's just interesting. Everything kind of points back to like 13,000 years ago. Like some sort of a cataclysm probably happened.
But they've never found a giant skeleton.
Well, that's apparently they may have. It's the Smithsonian, right? Like the Smithsonian is like this really weird, like they found here in Cleveland. We were known for the Chautauqua Wall or something like that. It's called the Chautauqua Wall. I'm not sure. Shady. It's called the Shady Wall. Is what they actually call it.
Out on Chatham Valley. There's still parts of that wall out there. They had hieroglyphs on them.
Yeah, and there were some kids on YouTube that said they found it, but they never released the video. But that's actually how I found you. I found you through the Dream Poet.
The Dream Poet, yeah. Chet.
I found you through Chet. I used to go to school with Chet, actually. So, but
hey, he's no dummy, is he?
No, he's awesome. That's a good kid, man. He's an awesome kid, and I watch his videos all the time. He's got some great stuff for sure.
Well, he's left Cleveland, hadn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, the Shady Wall. They said they found it, and then the Smithsonian showed up, and they said, nope, nothing here, and they buried it, and it's just... So the Smithsonian is kind of known for that. And then if you watch the Joe Rogan podcast, you see that the Boneyard, Alaska guy,
Oh, yeah.
He's all tied up with the Smithsonian. I don't know if it's the Smithsonian, but it's like this big archaeology shows up, and if they were to loan out some bones to them, they don't get them back, and they say they lost them. And
they dumped them in the New York River.
Them in the river, and so, archaeology is a weird thing right now. But it's like my favorite subject. It really
Wonder
is.
why there's such a war against archaeology. I haven't not figured, like that guy you're talking about in Alaska. Why would they want to suppress what he's finding? I just don't understand that.
Well, isn't that beautiful though? I mean, the fact that he's just finding all these bones, like there had to have been some sweeping flood. You know what I mean? There had to
They all went to one location.
Yeah, they got swept up in
And
a big
died.
old flood. I mean, it's like...
It doesn't make sense. These are what, bisons or not bisons, but what do you call
It's
woolly
saber-toothed
mammoth.
tigers, it's woolly mammoths, it's a certain breed of like antelope. I don't know. That's not supposed to be there. It's all these ground sloths. The giant ground sloth that they talked about. We had here.
I've seen that guy. He's for real. I mean, he's really finding that stuff.
Yeah. I believe every bit of that.
But why would he
follow him on
say they
Instagram.
take the bones and dump them into the New York?
Because they did. That's
But
what they do.
why would they do that? It doesn't make sense
Well,
to me.
I don't. You can get kind
It's
of.
almost like they're trying to erase some history.
You can get conspiratorial with this, and I love getting conspiratorial. And it could be that these kind of finds could redefine humanity. You know what I mean? It could ultimately it can prove. They tried to get as far away from the Bible as they could at one point. Science did.
Mm-hmm.
They were, instead of trying to prove the Bible right, they were trying to prove it wrong. And then slowly over time, it's like the Bible's kind of coming back in a hard way, right? Like it's the flood myths,
Mm-hmm.
like every civilization has a big flood myth.
Ever religion.
Yeah, they all got their own little flood myth, and this country, this is where it flooded. I think this is where it happened. I think this is the floodlands. This is it. You're standing on it. Like you're at the bottom of Appalachia. You're in the mud pit right here. Like
Don't they find some shells up on Appalachian trails and stuff? Some seashells? Haven't you heard that?
yeah.
Now, how'd that get there?
Even Goforth Creek. Look at Goforth Creek, right down the road from us. Right, there's giant boulders in Goforth Creek, and it's a tiny little creek. I've kayaked it, so it's kayakable, but there's no, and it's only kayakable when it's flooded. Right, it's got to flood like crazy before that water gets big enough to go. But the flood that put those boulders there, that had to be one crazy flood. I mean, you're talking make boulders into rocks. You got to turn these boulders into tiny little rocks. Like the water has to be so large and
And
vast.
so round.
Yeah, and
That
the
blows-
Ocoee's also bedrock. The Ocoee's absolutely bedrock because it's dolomite rock, right? So it's not bedrock, but the rocks that are in the Ocoee are never going to move. They're never going to change because it's all just dolomite. This is something I've learned through the years of being a raft guide out there, right? Like there's just these permanent rocks that are they're embedded in the ground there.
They're not leaving.
No, and because something came through there and just, actually the Coe is built by the separating of those two mountains. So the two mountains are actually separating from each other, and the scar in between the two of them is the Coe River. And that's why there's a sister river right next to it called the Hiwassee, right? Because the Hiwassee is natural, but the Coe is more of this unique, like, tear.
You mean like the tectonic plates shift?
Well, the Appalachians are the third oldest mountain range in the world, behind the Himalayas, and I don't know what the second one is. Probably the Alps, or I don't know. No, not the Alps. But anyways, so yeah, they're so old that I mean, literally, you can drive down 64, and as you get to the river, you pull off at, I don't know exactly where it is, but I have it on my YouTube, in my YouTube shorts. I've videoed it. It's this beautiful, like, I saw a geologist there one day studying this thing. It's this curve in the rock like this. Mm-hmm. It's got, I guess it got dynamited out. I don't know, but you can't curve the rock, but whatever that curve is from the mountain getting pushed up, right? And it curved that, like, back when it was made. So it's so old, man. I mean, it's beautiful. We're at the base though, and I do think there was a giant flood that came through and kind of buried us, in mud, right? Like, so we're at the bottom of this muddy Appalachian hill. You know what I mean? If you look at Google Earth, you'll see that we're at the bottom of like a muddy, vast
Bradley County,
and we're right at the bottom of the whole thing. So it's a beautiful thing. That's why our mountains are so low, and I mean they're also low from their old age. But I really do think we're at the bottom of like a
well, it had to be erosion. Have you ever? Do you ever go up to that place up above? What am I trying to say? Percy Maples Forest. Not Percy Maples.
Joyce Kilmer?
Joyce Kilmer, yeah.
Yeah, I do go to Joyce Kilmer. I love Joyce Kilmer.
Have you been back and seen the big trees?
Yeah, absolutely.
How big are they?
Give them a big old hug. They're giant. I mean, they're absolutely giant.
They've never been cut, right?
They kept that section. Joyce Kilmer did himself, or he petitioned to have it done because he was in awe of all the beauty that was around him. It was a campaign they were doing. They were taking all the logs from here and shipping them to England so England could build that navy. So
how big was the Joyce Kilmer forest? How much is preserved?
I don't know how much is exactly preserved.
It's like a.
But I know it's a small chunk that little circle does. So there's a small chunk where you got redwood, California style redwood trees. I mean, they're not redwood trees, they're just giant oaks and giant maples and just giant normal trees. I mean, just how trees would be if they were left alone. But I'd say every single tree in this entire area has been deforested and then replanted, So everything
I was going to that,
recent.
And my wife started saying might be bears, and I just got tired of hearing it. We turned around and came back to Cleveland.
Oh, so you haven't been?
I walked halfway there.
Well,
she kept saying,
go to Joyce
Kilmer
bears and walk the trail, and then do the Cherhola Skyway.
I've done the Cherhola.
Yeah,
I've walked. I've
Outland
driven
Expeditions,
that.
where I started rafting. They have an outpost on the Chioa River right there, and that's where I dislocated my shoulder. Was on the Chioa River.
I've just driven it in a car.
Yeah, there's a river runs right next to it, right?
Oh,
it's a little Class 5 river called the Chioa River, and it's the bomb. You can go raft it if you want to.
Is it rougher than the Ocoee?
Yeah, it's Class 5.
So
it's roadside, so that's always a plus because you can get right out.
Does it end up at the
Robbinsville Dam? I think is what it's called. I'm not sure, but I think it's the Robbinsville Dam. That's where it ends at.
Harley Davidson's shop there in Tellico.
No, yeah, Tellico, that's a fun little spot too. They're about to have a big, I think tomorrow, there's going to be a big kayaking, it's a canoe festival.
The Cherhola ends up, it starts at.
The Chioa is way far away from the Tellico. The Chioa is, I don't know where it feeds into, but I know that it's dammed up like everything around here, I mean, and that's what really pisses me off about, VEC, right? Volunteer Electric, they're all these electric companies, because all these dams were built as like an infrastructure deal, and we just saw in the newspaper, they're bringing prices up for VEC. The prices are going up, And this is all infrastructure stuff because they were like apologizing for all the devastation that they had kind of caused, they to the area. They were selling the Ocoee River. Some guy in Chattanooga named J.W. Adams owned the Ocoee River, and he sold it to some banker in Philadelphia, and then he had a railroad put through it. And it was when times were lawless, right? Like America gets a little bit lawless at times, and then it gets brought back on the right track. That's just how we go, and I think we're heading that way right now. We're going to go a little bit lawless, and it's going to get better. But then once it gets better, boom, they want to put the shackles on it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they do.
We need to be somewhere in the middle, don't we?
That's what they did. So they loosened it up. Boom, the railroads got built, right? And then the infrastructure deal started to happen because all this money was pouring in all over the place. And this is after the. Basically, we had a first national bank, was the Hamiltonian National Bank, and that was helping us a lot. And then we had the second national Hamiltonian, it wasn't called the Hamiltonian Bank, but Alexander Hamilton basically built the first bank for us. He wrote George Washington, told him why we needed a bank. We need a national bank for an army, right? Like we have to have it. And George Washington was swayed by this guy's opinion. And
what was it prior?
They modeled the second one after that.
What was the first one? Nothing.
Basically, like right after the American Revolution, they decided they needed a national bank. Like they were like, we need a national bank. We got to have it.
What were they trading on then?
Like everything, gold, furs, all the stuff. They were just doing it all. They were going for it. They were going big, but then they were like, let's do this. And then the second national Hamiltonian Bank, whatever, gets established, and then that gets broken down in the Great Panic of 1837. Which is like everybody rushes to the banks to get their gold out, and there's no gold, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody's like, oh, we've been gypped,
What was the first bank?
The first Hamiltonian Bank is, it's like Alexander Hamilton.
I mean, the first, you're talking about the second bank or the first one?
The first one, and then but that one got torn down because like these banks get corrupt. Mm-hmm. We're kind of dealing with that nowadays, and then after a while. They reinstitute, a new bank. I'm not sure if that one has anything to do with the Civil War. I'm not 100%. I can't really remember, but I know that's when they invented the term greenbacks. It's because of Abraham Lincoln, invented this new bank and they started to print money. And they say we're still in debt from the Civil War because he printed so much money to get them out of that debacle. They were in a bad way. And now the Whig Party was established to fight the second, bank, and that was led by some really great Americans. And it's just like it gets kind of lawless, and then they kind of put the shackles on it, like I was saying earlier, and then and that's when the railroads, came through here in our area, right? And that's if you go up there to Reliance or where the Hiwassee is, you see that old town up there, and you're like, wow, what a beautiful old town, with the train running right through the middle. Yeah, with the train running right through the middle, and it was probably popping at one point when those trains first came through. But then they started building dams on everything, right? And that was the train companies were building the dams. It was literally the train companies that were building the dam. Like the first dam that was ever built. In Tennessee, I'm not sure if it was in the country or if it was just in Tennessee, is right there at Sugarloaf. The Sugarloaf Dam is, they say, it just had its 100th year anniversary. Yeah. It's 106 or 107 years old now. And that was the Tennessee Railroad Company. I'm not sure if that's the exact name, but they were like, what do you think about this? And they checked it out, and they were like, man, y'all are good at this, you know what I mean? They started putting them up everywhere in Tennessee. So there's 3 dams on the Ocoee.
That are just from
It was to control the flooding, too.
Yeah.
I mean, last night, we had that downpour last night that, you kind of see why they needed some flood control.
It helped a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, it's just weird to me. It's weird to me that we need to raise the prices of like a government monopoly, like something that the government established back in the day for an infrastructure deal, to help the citizens. Like, how is it that we need the prices to go up on these things?
Shouldn't we have it paid for by now? That sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, or couldn't it be like more just complimentary? Not like free, but I mean, we'll pay you. But my God, I mean, I'm getting killed on my electric bill. Y'all getting killed on your electric bill? I'm getting killed on my electric bill. and it's going up, buddy. You know, it looked like it's going up by quite a bit too. And I get it. They're probably having trouble finding people, like we were talking about earlier. The population, you know, it's a crisis. It really is. Like the baby boomers were this giant swath of Americans, right? And like my great grandfather had 12, right? Like he had 12 kids, and his grandfather before him had like 16, and my grandfather had 6, you know, but my dad had 2, and then now I have 3, and we're about to be done with kids. So I don't know.
Well, the what do you call it? The
Hamiltonian, yeah.
So they kept people like in Gunsmoke. What banks were those? Were they private owned?
You know, that was like why. That's why they had to get like a more of a national currency and a more national bank, because they were running into that problem of like people printing their own money. And then untrustworthy banks could just be established, you know, like in a town, like you just like there's that bank over there, you can go there and you can kind of trade with them, but they could be shady and it maybe not a great bank, you know.
Maybe it's not insured, I guess.
I think we're dealing with that nowadays. I really do. I mean, haven't you noticed that? I mean, I was with SunTrust and then it became Truist. You know, it's like the banks gobble up other banks all the time, and we're just a big old banking country, man. I mean, really, our history is a bank history. Like we invented it. They used to say that, you know, that when everybody was like Catholic and religious and stuff, like they would literally frown upon trading in paper because it's like an IOU or something, you know. It's like this just
that's all it is, really.
It's like you're trading me in paper. That's worthless. You know what I mean? But we, as America, we like made that work, and we made that work to the point where now we're trillions of dollars in debt. You know, we're like circling the drain because we can print money. Like we can do it, and we do it.
You can take somebody's beautiful piece of property on the river with a view and a nice house, and for that much stack of green paper, they'll give it to you.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's really a.
I'd sell somebody.
And that's how much confidence we have now, or in the dollar. But don't get me started on these national banks, boy. I've had a week of them.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's
they
like
are not your.
Like the Federal Reserve is the new national bank. That's the new one. You know, that's.
Well, these national banks are not your friend.
I think it's the 3rd national bank. I'm not 100%, but I think it's the 3rd one we've had in the country. So, it could be time to do what we always do, and where we take a sledgehammer to the thing. You know,
you can't. I mean, you can't.
You're very right. I mean, because we're actually tied up in like Rockefeller money and this old oil money, and you know, oil's like this weird thing.
People
like,
have
it
got
funds
to
wars.
be. You can't exist in our society without the ability to get capital without selling your soul. And when I say sell your soul, I mean putting so much down that you can't function. Mm-hmm. I mean mortgaging everything to where you can't mentally take it.
Yeah.
And then you have 7 loans at one particular bank, and they say, we're not going to renew that because of all of these algorithms. We're going to give you 11 working days to pay us off. Yeah. And what are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
You can't go to the principal and tell on them.
Yeah.
You can't even talk to anybody. They'll just send somebody down here that's...
It's a faceless...
Faceless...
they got their little minions kind of talk to you, the bankers. Yeah. No offense to any bankers that are listening, but like it's just it's a weird system we got going on here.
But if we don't,
it's scary. It really is.
And from their side is, well, we're not going to loan any money if we can't get it back. Okay, but like you might have to have a loan. These national banks aren't going to give it to you. Where are you going to get it? Cash advance? Payday loan?
Go to Truist.
Who?
Truist. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
That's my bank right now. So yeah.
They ain't gonna give you nothing.
Yeah.
Credit card.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying about the
what about credit unions?
Infrastructure. Well, yeah, absolutely. They're I don't know a lot about credit union. I mean, I that's how I bought my truck. That was with Amoco. But yeah, no, I joined their federal credit union, but. But yeah, that's
You
what's
had
up.
to join. I'll join you.
Yeah. I got the
I
app.
don't
on my
know
phone.
that. I don't know the answer, but I know that that these big banks are not can't keep doing it like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm not like a huge Trump supporter, but I am too. I like what's going on, but then I see some things and I'm like, oh God. But I like the Doge thing. I think that's interesting. I mean, you got to watch everybody, of course. You know, like they were doing that Tesla, yard sale at the White House the other day. That's not cool. And it's like that's why I wrote that song like on Gaza, like that video that Trump put out on his Truth Social. I'm going to use that in the music video. Because that's the most ridiculous video I ever saw in my life. Trump balloons and Trump's Gaza and all this stuff. I mean, I understand that, that we've been giving it to Israel over and over again and it's never working out, so let's just like two kids fighting over candy, we take it. You know what I mean? I get it. I understand. It's just, I don't know, it's too tough, right? Like some of these things are too tough to understand. And the bank's situation is too tough for me to understand, really, because I don't know what you do. I know that the Whig Party fought hard to destroy that second national. Like that's what, like one of the elections. I don't remember who it was about, but it was like I can't remember the guy's name right now. I'm pretty good at recall, unless I'm like got cameras staring at me. But they fought to tear that. There was one party was like Andrew Jackson. I believe it was Andrew Jackson was anti-national bank, right? And he won. And he tore it down. Boom, gone. Right. So like that's what a president can do. He can come in and he can make executive decisions and he can tear it down. So yeah, I mean, he was either I think he was pro it the first time around because I know that he was in hot contested with the leader of the Whig Party. Henry Clay was the leader of the Whig Party. That's who it was. And Henry Clay and him had a run against each other. But I think they were like both Republicans or something. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so they were kind of running on the same premise, but Andrew Jackson ended up coming in, and he was actually the one who destroyed the second national bank. But then, years later, we had that Federal Reserve kind of put in place, and we've had all these. Just a lot of this stuff is failing. I mean, the Department of Education's failing. With like kids can't even read. I mean, my son can read. My 9-year-old stepson River, he can read. He's an outstanding reader. He's above average with the scores that we're getting back, but I wonder what the average is in the country. But he's flying through books. But I taught him how to read myself, actually. But so the school didn't do that. It was me who taught him how to read. So I don't know. I see everything as failing, really, and I don't know if that's because the population is so low. Maybe it is, and maybe that's why they tried to flood the borders full of people. Maybe they were like, let's do it. We need them, and
I think that was one reason.
And we've done that. Traditionally, America's done that for years and years.
Like the Statue of Liberty. That's what it's for.
Europe was about to have a bloodbath,
yeah.
right, in World War II. So obviously Europeans don't get along. But we as Americans, we said all Europeans are welcome, right?
We said bring us your poor, bring us your hungry.
Yeah. And so we accept it all. And
what is that? Bring us your, what is it on the Statue of Liberty? Bring us your poor, your hungry.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Isn't that something we don't know?
There's a star for it underneath the Statue of Liberty as well. That's it's standing on.
Yeah.
Built right out there in the wall.
I just don't remember what it says.
Yeah, those star forts. Those were that's where battles took place, man. Straight up, they were battling on those things. So it's very interesting. Those things have stood the test of time.
At the time, there used to be what they called thrift banks that were owned by, like Bailey's Building and Loan, on that Christmas show, It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a community bank that didn't have deposits insured, which would be scary. So you got to have that. That's what creates the insurance thing. You got to have that, or Jesse James would come in and rob the place.
Yeah. That too. They like that's why they wanted to do the banks again, because when they went to the gold standard or whatever, it was like they were going out west, right? So they were taking these trains out west, and they were getting gold, and they were having to bring it back east.
Yeah, Wells Fargo.
On the way back east, though, people were robbing it. People were stealing the gold on the way back east. So it's like this big conundrum where you're taking it. So they were just like, we can't keep. It was like they had to ship it twice, you know, like they had to ship the gold back and then have it shipped
There's
back.
a TV series about that. Tales of Wells Fargo.
Yeah, but then I've actually learned that the Japanese, when we were having our, you know, the Roaring 20s, the Japanese also, I think they were having like their own Roaring 20s as well, and they got on the gold standard, and they were doing well with it. But what happened was rich people came in, and they were able to invest so well, they actually took all the gold from the Japanese and sent it away. So all the gold was gone from the Japanese. They were stranded out there with like no actual currency and economy, and that actually put them into a Great Depression even worse than our Great Depression, which kind of led to that civilization that we had to fight in World War II. You know what I mean? That crazy Japanese civilization that was like, I can't remember what they're called exactly. Showa. They were the Showa generation. You know, there were some bad mofo's.
Wasn't there a town, a city that came up with their own form of currency during the Depression? They would take wood chips and stamp them with.
That's interesting. I don't know that.
Yeah, and they started trading them around the city.
That makes sense. I mean, humans have traded. Me and my son River, we asked the Amazon Echo the other day. You know, you got it in your house or whatever. We asked it the other day. How long have humans been trading in, you know, a currency of some sort? And it was like 5,000 years or something like that. Like 5,000 years.
Yeah, the Indians traded what, wigwams or no?
Because I was trying to explain to him like how it doesn't matter what you want, what you got to do. No matter what, you got to get to work. You got to put it in the way. I don't know. No one's going to pay you just to sit around.
Unfortunately, we're a monetary society.
Even back before there was, you know, this or that, it was still something. Somebody had to do something. Everybody had to do something, you know.
On the Silk, you're familiar with the Silk Road?
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful archaeology topic.
But that's what they were doing, was taking silk from India and trading silk.
Yeah,
so they trade for stuff.
Because of the the Himalayas. There was such a basically China is being like, India is crashing into China, and that creates the Himalayas, you know, and so it's like this giant impenetrable mountain range. But there is that one little road. There's that one little certain spot, the Silk Road, where they can go through. But man, they find mummies on that are so cool. Coolest
but they
mummies.
were that's what they were doing, was trade. It was trade road, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying they
so
find
let's
the
take
coolest
them
archaeology
let's
there.
take them our salt, and they'll give us sweaters or whatever. Whatever the trade was.
Yeah.
I think that necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
And I think if you go into these real poor communities, you'll see them making it, managing it somehow. And
I agree with that.
And if the less regulations you have, the more these good ideas will come out. So the more lawlessness that we have, the more somebody will find a need and fill it. So me and you have this problem with this, somebody will find that need, they'll fill it, and all of us will rise. But if we're just regulated to no end, then we can't be creative and that sort of stuff. They'd regulate us to death.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that, like I said, I'm not like a super Trump, but I do like the idea of taking a sledgehammer to the whole thing. No offense. Like, I know that a lot of people look at that, like the Democrats will look at that and be like,
chainsaw, not a scalpel. Scalpel.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats will look at that and be like, no, that we got the best government in the world. We got the best country in the world. Because my buddy that I make the music with for, like, the last song I released was called The Door, and that's his beat in the back. But he preaches to me about how, you know, he's not democratic, but he's right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? But he likes our government. You know, he's like, well, who's got a better government than us? And I'm like, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you were saying, like the first corporation that was ever established was like the Dutch Trading Company or something like that. So they were like this, they were able to create a navy that could safely transport goods back and forth, you know, and that created like the first ever corporation, you know.
Wasn't Columbus a corporation?
I think he was a
corporation.
Might have been part of that. He was Spanish, so I mean, he was probably part of the whole thing.
I think it was a corporation.
Yeah.
But either way, it was But you know, if you go into these poor neighborhoods and whatever you see
Upstate
them
New York's
doing,
got a lot of them.
well, whatever you
I can't
go
believe
in
they
there
can
and you
survive
study
those
what the poor are doing, and without regulations, that'll be what fills the need. It's incredible what human beings will do when they need to, when they don't have any, when they're unfettered. They will come up with we use a lot of these Latinos, and they'll stop by somebody's house, and that person will make lunch for everybody, put it in coolers, and they'll hand the guy the cooler of lunches. That's their job.
Yeah, I
And
worked
so,
at Hardwood Flooring. I remember them in the garage, like cooking it up. They were just
Yeah, I mean,
like,
now they
bring
got
a flat top.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just
like camping
necessity.
stove.
That's just necessity.
Yeah, they were really innovative for sure. Yeah.
But we can't hardly do that now because of, just so many regulations. That's why I think if they take away a lot of regulations, then somebody will come up with something that helps somewhere.
The terrible thing is that era of America usually comes when like the shit hits the fan.
I know it. I know it.
That's usually is when like everything goes like you got these certain parties will be, like championing like we need to disband the federal bank. We need to get rid of this. It's become monopolistic. It's become too greedy. It's become too big.
But who's going to loan people money?
That's a challenging thing because is there any money? Is there any gold left? Like I was talking about the Japanese, like they turned around and they were like, where's all the gold? And it was all gone. Their country had been literally pilfered. It was gone.
Isn't Elon Musk going to live stream the opening up of Fort Knox?
That's what I mean. All the gold might be gone.
Well, I didn't even think we was against the gold standard anymore. See, it's all confusing to me.
The gold standard's like totally gone. Yeah, it's absolutely gone. We haven't used it.
So it's just however much the government prints.
Yeah, it doesn't. Our economy is based upon our oil and our military and our military might and the power of our dollar and our trustworthiness.
That's it.
Because you can't trust the Chinese
What do they call that? The modern monetary theory?
Something like that. I don't know.
Something like that.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not gonna lie and act like I know.
I think.
But yeah, but yeah. So like that's the BRICS. They're fighting to become that. They want to become that, but you can't. You got Russia's right next to China. They've never been friends. You got Russia. You got India and China. They've never been friends. It's just no one. Like sound investments, right? Like we were talking about earlier. Like no one wants to make these investments with these people because they know it's not sound. Like you can't truthfully trust the Chinese government, right? Like that's what got us in 2008.
I don't trust our national banks, much less China.
Well, at least we are more trustworthy right now, right? At least we are more trustworthy.
I get,
Thank God. They say it's like we're like 60%. Like we're 60% of the global economy, right? And they're 40% over here, right? So we do have that dominance, and we can continue to have that, but we can't if we continue to.
I think we were losing some dominance.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. We're only like 60%. We're right there where they're about to overpass us. They have a lot of initiatives too.
All we've got is the confidence of the American dollar, and that's about it. That's all we've got because everything else is based on it. If you don't believe it, try to pay your electric bill with something else. Take them a chicken.
Go get that wood chip. Stamp it.
Those wood chips, they're worth like $5,000 a piece now because they're big collector's items. Anyway. What else? Corrington, that's a long name, isn't it?
Yeah, I was spelling it wrong my entire life, too. My family told me it was Corrington, but it was actually Corrington. So my dad made it up. He said comes from the rock quarries because his father always worked in rock quarries as a trucker. So he said, I'm Corrington. Yeah, he's a silly guy. You ought to have him on here. He'd be really fun to talk to.
Well, you're really smart.
That's really
you
nice of you to say.
need to do some thinking because you really underrated.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you talking about like I'm underrated because the music ain't going nowhere so far. I feel
No,
you.
I just think that you got a lot. You're just really smart.
I read a lot. I try to. That's my thing. Try to read a lot, and I write a lot too. So, and writing helps too. That's like taking notes. You know what I mean? That's how that's how
Yeah.
I'm able to like remember some of those crucial names. Is I really dove deep into that. I grew up in front of that dam, over there at Sugarloaf. We used to be on Parksville Lake all the time, just kind of floating around watching the sunset over there. So when I found out there was just like that it's the oldest dam in Tennessee, I was like, I'm diving in. And that's how I know about J.W. Adams owning the property that he sold to the Philadelphia Bank, it's just these basically when the Second National Bank was being like eaten alive by other banks because they were full of money, right? It was just a monopoly was being torn down by government authority who tore it down, right? So no matter what, they had to disband. And that's when these like bankers that were near there were able to swoop in and just start gobbling up all their accounts and gobbling up all their money. And that's when the Philadelphia Bank that literally built our dam and built our railroads, that's where they came to their power. And then that guy's sons came to power, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I probably could have thought about it long enough.
Have you studied Rott any, Captain Rott?
I don't think so. No.
Well, you need to look into that.
Who is he?
Captain Erskine Rott.
Rot.
Julius Rott.
Rot.
You need to
I like
study.
that last
well,
name.
I had
That's a rock and roll name.
I had him on I had an actor read a book about him and came in here and portrayed him.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Episode number 80, I think. It was really good. But he was from Ducktown. He
cool.
was the richest man, I think, in the state of Tennessee at one time.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
he started a bank. He owned everything here. You need to look into it.
Is he the guy that was here during like the Civil War and
And they claimed he was.
he like escaped in the tunnels or something? No, is that him? No.
Well, they said that his house had a tunnel from his house to the railroad, and they don't know if that was for payroll, but some claimed it was an underground railroad for slaves. And I asked him while he was here.
The construction workers around here, they talk about the tunnels. They say they find them and stuff. I've never seen them, but they say they find them.
Well, I asked him. He said he'd rather not talk about it.
That's funny. As he was portraying the guy?
Yeah,
That's funny.
Because it never really said.
That's really funny.
But anyway.
We got some cool Civil War stories from here, like for real. Like
yeah.
I had got this Civil War book for the Bradley County area from my library, and it had this weird story about it's like torpedoes, like they like something about they actually shot some torpedoes in the Hiwassee River.
I think they found
like
one
in the
at
Hiwassee Lake.
I think they found one at B&B Marina that had not detonated that was live.
That's weird. Yeah, so basically they had like a railroad in Cleveland, and they...
Well, you know who brought the railroad?
The banks? I don't know.
No, Captain Rott.
Captain Rott. Yeah, I'm going to have to look him up.
Yeah, he's the one that brought it. He lobbied him.
The Civil War book I was reading said that the Union had, like, they had taken over a building, or maybe it was the South had taken over a building, and to get these guys out of the building, they set the torpedoes off on the train and like blew up the train, and then there was torpedoes flying everywhere, and I'm like, torpedoes during the Civil War? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I thought torpedoes were shot out of submarines. It didn't make any sense to me, but that's the way it was portrayed in this book. And so yeah, we got some weird Civil War stories. And then I hear that it was like that the Union was established a camp like right outside maybe it was Rott's house.
It was his house.
Yeah,
2,000 acres.
There was a camp with Union soldiers, and he was like, "I'm out of here!" Shoot, and he got that tunnel and was gone.
Well, what it is,
maybe Dream Poet's the one that told me that. I'm not 100% sure.
What it was, they thought he was selling cannonballs to the Union, making them here and selling them there.
Cannonballs make sense to me, but torpedoes, I'm like, what? That don't make no sense. But yeah, I believe that. So he got involved.
Well, yeah, but he was all about money.
Yeah.
But then when he came back, I think he sued the.
Ducktown. You were talking about Ducktown.
That's where he. That's where he was.
Yeah,
that's where he came from.
Because that's where it was Ducktown. They turned it into, hell apparently up there. They said that you could see it from space. They couldn't because they never went to space.
That's
back
what
then.
Rot. That was during Rot's time.
But he moved to Cleveland, right? And he's the one that put all the money in Cleveland because he was sucking it up from up there.
He was sucking it from everywhere.
They said that it was.
He owned the supply houses that supplied the workers there.
Yeah, it was a multi-million-dollar organization there back in the 1880s, and then today that'd be $1 trillion establishment because they were just pulling copper out, and they were transporting so much copper that they literally I don't know exactly, but it was trillions of dollars worth of copper.
They had 12 teams of 12 mules pulling all day long for years.
Yeah. I've read
And
a little bit about it.
Rot on the mules.
There's some cool old pictures of that back in the day too. Yeah, that Ducktown. You know why it's called Ducktown?
Chief Duck.
You know about Chief Duck?
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, man.
Chief
Duck. Yeah, I wish I
Have
could
you
see a
ever?
picture
You've
of
been to
him.
Turtletown, right?
Yeah, I've been to Turtletown. I don't know why it's called Turtletown.
Well, you know what's past Turtletown?
What's past Turtletown?
Hanging Dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'd never even heard
There's
of
a
that
Hanging
town.
Dog town.
Why they call it that? To hang a dog over there?
I don't know. It was an Indian name.
They got the coolest names, man.
There was Chief Turtle, Chief Duck, and a Hanging Dog. But that was all owned by the Indians till 1838.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were sitting on, huh? Well, they just didn't act like that. They didn't do what we do, the weird stuff that we were doing, Europeans.
No,
Man.
they sold out. Boy, it was an awful time, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's why they built it. That's why they built that dam. That's why they did the infrastructure deals. That's why they did it all, VEC.
I think the Indians were mining some of the copper out at the time.
Probably trying.
The Cherokee weren't.
Maybe
They were
making
pretty.
some spoons or something. Something
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I mean, that was in that Jubal Sackett book. They were talking about, how the change was coming, that Jubal, he was venturing west from here. Like, I got that book from the library, and it just so happened to be, it starts like at the base. The Hiwassee and the Ocoee were pictured in the map at the beginning.
Was that Louis Lamar book?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I can't suggest it enough. They canoe in it. They're like rafting in it. I loved it. It was so good. I couldn't put it down. But he was saying, look at your Native American friends. They're using iron needles, or they're using metal needles. Like, the change is coming. They want it too. Like, he was explaining this to this lady that he met. He fell in love with her and was trying to explain that she didn't need to go back to her small tribe and be a princess again.
Because they were already being
The change was
transformed.
coming. Jubal was coming. He's already coming west, and he ain't the only one. There's going to be many men that want to follow in his footsteps, and yeah, there wasn't there?
And then the white man married the Indians and inherited their land.
That's how Cleveland got established.
Yeah.
Taylor Springs.
Taylor
or whatever.
Springs.
He
married a white girl. Well, even
no,
Ross
he married a Native American girl, and then the Native Americans gifted the land of Cleveland to him.
Well, Ross Landing.
I know about that spot, but I don't know.
Well, see, he was only an
there.
eighth of an Indian. He had married
cool.
married an Indian.
That's
girl.
like my boss in the Wind River Canyon. He's only like an eighth of an Indian, but he has the rights, and he's rafting on that thing. The Wind River Canyon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's man, what a cool spot. He knows about it.
Can't even fish there.
I could.
No,
I got to. Yeah, I got to, but yeah, you can't fish there unless you're a Native American. Then you can fish there. I knew a guy that had a house out
That's
there
discrimination.
too. They deserve a little something, man. We took some Shoshones down when I was up there, and they're not doing so well. They weren't doing so well. They were living on McDonald's, and they were really overweight. We give them a free rafting trip every year.
There's one tribe
Jam them all on a boat.
There's one tribe they never did get to leave. Out west, they never did get them to leave. I forget which tribe it was.
Comanches, maybe? Them Comanches were some mean
I forget what it
bucks.
was, but they never got them to leave. They never did leave. They're still there. I forget what that story
Well, the
was.
Shoshones are there. I know that.
But the Apache, they were brutal people, man.
Yeah, some of the tribes are real brutal. That's like the Empire of the Summer Moon book, man.
Oh,
you read that?
yeah.
Oh, so good.
It's
That guy's got another book too. It's a historical fiction book. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but just whatever that guy's name is who wrote The Empire of the Summer Moon. Look up his historical fiction book. He plays he writes about the part of the Indian guy and like the cowboy at the same time. So you got two different stories going on.
Those are you got to really focus when you're reading a book like that.
It's so good. But yeah, The Empire of the Summer Moon was a good book. I bought it. I think I gave it to my dad though because I don't have it anymore. But man, the Comanches were awesome. Awesome, brutal, and
brutal.
So cool.
I mean, brutal.
They bury you in an anthill, a giant anthill, because we used to have probably giant anthills here.
If you're
in
lucky.
America. Yeah.
The Apache made them look like kindergartners. The Apache were bad people.
Maybe, but I hear the Comanche were the baddest. But maybe. I hear the Comanche were the ones that they mastered the horse when no other natives could master the horse. Like. Everybody struggled with the horse because it wasn't. There actually was a native horse here 13,000 years ago, but it was wiped away by probably a giant flood.
Yeah.
And then the Spanish came and
with the Mustang.
Indians, they started stealing these horses too. They just end up getting them, you know.
Well, the Apache was ones that went into the caves and they claimed they had an underground passage to Mexico.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Because they
cool.
thought they would
That's
just
really
disappear.
Cool. That's really cool. I need to look more into the Apache. You know, I really do. Yeah, I'm a little young. I'm like 33, so I've done a little bit of research, but I can't wait to jump into more and more stuff. I mean, weird.
As you get older, you don't have as much time.
I feel like I don't have any time anymore. I mean, I did just read that Louis L'Amour book somehow, but I had to squeeze that in. I was staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning reading that book sometimes.
Well, I'm reading the book now all the way down to Crazy.
All the way down to Crazy.
Yeah, that's the name of it. It's
good.
Fiction? Nope. It's a real guy, and I don't even really know what the book's about now. He lived in Alabama. He moves to Arizona, and right now he's staying with a friend. And I don't know. That's all I know.
That's
so
cool.
I don't know if
it's an American story though.
Oh yeah, it's a real
That's
story.
cool.
I don't know if Crazy is a town.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Or if but you're going through his thinking process now, and it's really good.
You know what became very popular was people coming here and then interviewing these Native Americans and then writing a book about it, right? And getting their like knowledge of freedom and their like, because people were like, what are they doing? They're just like free in the woods down there. Like that's how they live. They have like no society. And like they send it back to England and they send it back to France and all the European countries, and people have that stuff sitting on their when you go to their house, it's sitting on the coffee table, and people just ate this stuff up, and they say that's what actually gave us our independence and our democracy was they actually kind of incorporated it into, because George Washington's grandfather fought in the Native American wars here, like the French Indian Wars, and they say that that Washington, so he didn't fight in the French Indian War because they say that George Washington accidentally started the French Indian War by disobeying a command. Like he disobeyed a command and attacked something, right? And it started this whole kerfuffle. And so they actually literally do put it on George Washington. So like that's a weird history right there. He was a commander in the English army. And his grandfather was
yeah,
like
they got
one of the
him.
most
Don't
respected.
they have him in that boat going like this?
That's the American Revolution crossing the Delaware. But no, I mean he's all up in our. He's like right at the cusp, right at the beginning of our history, and his grandfather too. So I mean, the Washingtons were really doing stuff over here. Like I was talking about Champlain. I mean, that guy was. There's so many stories about Lake Champlain and them battling it out in Lake Champlain. And
Boy, those guys were busy, weren't they?
They had to be. You should see these forts. Look at Fort Ticonderoga on the internet. Check it out. I mean, it's something to behold. They rebuilt the whole thing, so it's not still built out of sand and stuff like it was at first. But they rebuilt it to pretty much exactly what they thought it looked like. So it's.
I always remember the Three Stooges. They always were going to Ticonderoga. They were always going there.
That's funny.
The Three Stooges, they were always going to Ticonderoga.
That's funny. My dad blew his knee out playing football for Ticonderoga High School. Yeah, so we got some history in Ticonderoga. My dad was moving all over the state of New York back in the day, so.
Well, tell people how to go tell people where your local thing is. I gotta get some stuff.
I mean, we got the Honey and Clove Bistro. You can come see us in Benton. You just drive past the only red light out there in Benton.
Next to the new Dollar General.
Next to that brand new DG Market. Yeah, you go over there, and we're right there next to that. We're at 108 Lifestyle Way, Benton, Tennessee, and then we got the bakery on Main right there at the red light itself. It's got a big old University of Tennessee symbol that just got painted on it recently because we were chosen. I guess it was like an initiative that they were doing. They were going to paint those in every county across the state, and so we got that on our building. I love it. So you can't miss us. Giant UT thing, big American flag right there on the front porch. Got to kind of go around the back to get there. And then my music, you can find that at River Space Funk, not River Space Funk, but River Funk, just two words, River Funk. That's what I have, the YouTube channel. And I've also got a SoundCloud that I put a lot of stuff on as well. But maybe be on Spotify someday soon. Just looking for that $150 to invest when you get on
And don't
DistroKid.
forget to go by Main Street Bakery and get a shortbread.
Yeah.
Strawberry shortbread.
We do sourdough breads. We do hybrids, which is like a sourdough mixed with like a white, and we also do whites. And if you call in, we can make your own bread with, you want raisins in it, or if you want like jalapenos, like a spicy cheese bread, we can do that for you. And my kids love it when I slice that sourdough up and make French toast with it. They
You're
love it.
making me hungry.
Well, that sourdough French toast is really good because it's so porous, right? It's so porous, it just like soaks that egg up, man. You put it on the pan and it just, it's so good. But yeah, so we got our own bread. We got all the baked goods. We got a deli in there. You can get sandwiches. We do caterings.
And his prices are not high enough. It's not even enough to use a credit card.
We're afraid to raise the prices at that bakery because the locals, have been going there since 2017, and we got we got not lucky. I'll say we got blessed by God Himself. But with that honey and clove, we got approached by Sally for that honey and clove, and so now we're able. We don't have to raise prices at the bakery because now we got the honey and clove right down the road. So if you want to support us, a little bit more, you can go to the honey and clove for dinner.
Right in front of the Family Dollar's where the Main Street on Bakery is. Joe Waters ever come in there? You know Joe?
I don't know Joe. I hope he ain't watching this. I probably do. I'm learning so many names lately. That's why when you came in, I was like, I know this name. Like, what am I saying? Like, but I was just like,
Who's she?
slicing onions. No, I didn't think that at all. I knew I recognized that name hard. Like, I did, like for sure. And I was just like, wait, like, I was overwhelmed. And then you came around, you're like, you ready for the discussion podcast on Sunday? I was like, oh my God.
Billy
yes, I am so
Billy
excited.
Lawson told me about your place.
Cool. Tell him I said thank you. Or thank you, Billy.
Hey, listen, I enjoyed it. I'm going to go home and eat some pizza.